KHDK HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports 1140.
Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Yes. We are here on a Monday. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. And man, oh man, it has been quite the couple days here at Summer League. Obviously, you can tell from the level of my voice, we are in the media room. So today is going to be a very chill Allen, as I don't want to get on anybody else's nerves because obviously people are working, things like that. But don't let it get twisted. I am very excited for the next 4 hours. We have a couple people stopping by. Michael Scotto should be stopping by in the 1 o'clock hour along with Brett Siegel, but a lot of things can change. Chris Watkins, Brendan Nunez are going to be at shoot around 11. And then after that, we will try to get them on the show as well. But the biggest takeaway for me so far has just been the excitement that everybody has had for the Kings' young pieces. And I don't think that's something that we are kind of used to in that same way. You know, obviously with Keegan Murray and De'Aaron Fox back in the day as well, we had that excitement, but a lot of people are excited about what the Kings are trying to build here. Everybody wants to start to develop those players, so we will see how that goes. Kyle, wanted to bring you in here, man, just because when we do these remote shows, I can't see you the same way. How you feeling, my guy?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I had an amazing weekend. Got to watch some baseball, got to watch a little Kings Summer League action, and it's just a great week altogether, Allen. I hope you're doing okay because I know you've been, what is this now, you're officially in day 3 in Las Vegas now, so once you get to day 3 in Vegas, I don't know if the vibes are the same as they were before.
Well, it's really not even that crazy for me because it's only been a couple days. I talked to a lot of people and they were here for 6 days, 7 days, things like that. So I got the better part of the deal. Brendan and Chris Watkins, they're both going to be here, I think, till Friday. They got in on either last Thursday or last Friday. So yeah, 3 days. I've done a week before in Vegas and I'm not built for it anymore. I'm definitely not. And again, let's not get it twisted. I can't bring the same energy today. I'm also trying to figure out what stories I can and cannot tell from this weekend because there are different versions of each story or of the story. So maybe they will be, I don't want to, shoot from the hip to start the show, but a lot of good information from people and obviously had some fun. It is Vegas after all. But, Amid Rock on the Sack Chat is asking about my expired passport. There were no problems. Look, I'm here. I'm taking the 5 o'clock flight out of here once I'm done with the show. So it was all good. And it was all good on Saturday with the Sacramento Kings and what they were able to cook up as far as another Summer League win, going 2-0. And, Isaac Jones, he did his thing. Obviously, Devin Carter, that bounce back game, what's going on with his shoulder. I believe Brendan may have asked him about that. And it's just something that he said he's going to deal with, and has been dealing with ever since the surgery. So that stuck out besides his outstanding performance and kind of the chip on the shoulder. Hey, I can play with the best of them. And I was just really excited. Like I said, I was tweeting a lot of this, but in case you missed it, Matas Buzelis is kind of a known trash talker. And somebody told me that maybe Devin and Matas may have played together at some point, but Matas Buzelis wasn't playing. But he was talking trash to everyone, Mason Jones, Devin Carter, and Devin Carter was not backing down. Immediately he hit a 3. At one point, he pointed right at Matas Uzelis, he made another shot and he said, this one's for, that was for you. So I really do. I guess when we went into Summer League, the questions that we had, obviously, Neek Clifford, I think it was Maxim, Neek, and then, or Devin Carter, Maxim, and then Neek. And Devin Carter definitely had a bounce back game. And he's got another opportunity today. Right. If he doesn't have a great game today, the panic meter, Kyle, that we kind of talked about, I was at a strong 6 or a soft 7. After seeing that game, I'm probably down to a 4. We just got to see if that stays where it's at or how he plays tonight. That this is the panic meter. It's going to change game by game. That's just how it goes.
Welcome back to the club, Allen, because I was at 3 the day before the game, and then it took one game for you to join me back at a 4. So I'm glad that the fires that were going on the Allen Stiles panic meter have been extinguished with one 30-point, 5 3-pointer game from Devin Carter.
Well, and during the post game presser, a lot of the conversation that just came up over and over again, it was all about being aggressive. All of them were saying the same thing. Coach said the same thing. And obviously he's the head of the Snake, so he's telling them what's going on. But they all said the same thing, be aggressive. And that's exactly what Devin Carter was. That's exactly what Neek Clifford was as well. So, you have to go out, and when you are kind of these older players in the Summer League, you got to come out and kind of show your worth, and that's exactly what they did. We're going to, like I said, got a couple guests that should be showing up later in the show, going to coordinate with Brendan Nunez and Chris Watkins as well. Frank Cardicelli is back home. But shout out Frankie. Frankie was out here for a couple days as well. And, as far as the stuff around the league, I will say I talked to a lot of people, and I know there were a bunch of jokes about Allen's going to be schmoozing. I was schmoozing so much that Draper couldn't ignore me. He couldn't ignore me. And he came right up to me. We took the picture. It's on social media. Go check that out. But he could not ignore me. I met a lot of people, from scouts to agents to coaches, and they all have a lot of thoughts on the Sacramento Kings, but we're going to share that with you over the next 4 hours. And, just to kind of start with some of that, I talked to somebody who, part of a really, really big, I guess, not corporation, but kind of, you know who this person is. I'll put it to you like that. You know who this person is. And we were having a conversation about the Sacramento Kings. And I just said, hey, what do you think about some of the moves? And he just said, it's just it's fine, right? It's fine. And not as if everything is fine. It's fine as in it's okay, right? They're there. They're a team. He went on to say there's only one team as of right now not competing in the West, and that's the Jazz. So again, I'm not trying to do the same thing where we just kind of bash on the Kings. They're not going anywhere, but it was interesting to talk to a lot of people and get perspective on it, because it's just it's just how people feel, and when you have a lot of the big names in the industry saying the same exact things, it is worrisome, right? And when people come up and say, hey, you sound like a hater, you sound like this, you sound like that, or whether you agree with me or not, today and throughout the rest of the week, and honestly, whenever we kind of reference it moving forward, it's not really about how I feel. Obviously, I'm going to share how I feel on my show, but don't shoot the messenger. This is what a lot of people around the league are saying, and they're just not really sure what the approach is from the Kings, and why they decided to go in this direction. We have some Malik Monk kind of information, not as far as any supposed spots or something like that, but just as far as the conversations that we've had regarding his value. I have a much better grasp on that. Of course, we had Kaminga conversations, so I will be sharing all that. That's probably coming up in the 11 o'clock hour, but that was my big takeaway. A lot of people just not really sure what the Kings are doing. And the other part of it is the conversations that we have when we say, oh, they're not saying uncle, they're not saying uncle. That's basically how everyone feels about the Sacramento Kings right now. And that's not to say that, they're wrong or they could be wrong. We have the examples of the Pistons and some of those teams that we've talked about before, but it's just, I wanted somebody, let me put it to you like this. I wanted somebody to say, I see it, right? I get it. And nobody did. And I didn't talk to every person on the concourse. I didn't talk to every single media member that was here, or agent or free front office person. I didn't talk to all of them, but I talked to a good bit. And the hope, to be honest with you, was to sit here today and say, hey, I talked to some people, man. They love the Dennis Schroeder thing, right? They love it. Domantas Sabonis, they think that this can work. That's not what they're saying. And again, we'll find out whether everybody is wrong or right, because they've been wrong or right before. But it's just, there is a typical way to do things, and everybody feels as if what they're doing simply isn't typical. But maybe they'll surprise some people. I think the main conversation is the longevity of it. And which is funny, because as Scott Perry, I didn't send it to you, Kyle, but we got the Monday motivation again. But it's interesting, as they're saying the sustainable success thing around the league, people seem to feel like it's moving towards the opposite, right? It's moving towards, okay, they're trying to get hot one year or get hot for a couple of years and see what happens. So that was maybe the biggest takeaway. Number one, how excited everybody was. And I talked to a scout with the Western Conference team. And he said, Maxim Reno should have been a first pick. That's what he said. And he said, hey, but some things just end in a certain way, or some things work out the way they're supposed to work out. And we've heard conversations about Maxim kind of angling to get to the Kings, so that's part of it as well. But he said Maxim Reno should have been a first pick. So a lot of people excited about what the Kings are building. I can't tell you, and if you're on the Twitter, the Kings social media area, everybody, Carmichael Dave included, just run out the young kids. Right, give me Devin Carter, give me Keon Ellis, give me Neek, give me all of them, and just play them. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but a lot of people felt like that was maybe a more traditional approach to try to get this done, because either they surprise the heck out of you or they don't, and you're able to get one of these top picks that are coming up here in 2026. So, we might be joined. That reminds me, Yossi Gozlan. We might be joined by him. He's running around doing some things, but to kind of talk cap. And, there was a lot of apron talk. We weren't in the kitchen, but there was a lot of apron talk over these last couple of days. And, I talked to somebody else besides Yossi who does a lot of cap stuff. And he says he thinks the second apron teams are going to adapt. We're just in the middle of that adapting. And of course, the first summer league I go to, everyone's saying, oh, this is one of the quieter summer leagues, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. And, we'll see what happens there. X picks on the Sack chat saying this is a 2-timeline situation. Win now with Sabonis, DeMar, Dennis, and Zach, and develop and prepare with Murray, Clifford, Carter, and Maxime. I would just say, or I would just ask the question, when we do this 2-timeline thing, can we use an example of a 2-timeline that really, really worked? There might be one or two players, right? And I know, Kyle, a ton about the Spurs with the Kawhi thing that was kind of there, but, the Warriors, they kind of coined that 2-timeline phrase, but everywhere else off the top of my head, and I guess it would be, for a successful 2-timeline, do you have to win the whole thing with one timeline? Because the Thunder have one timeline, the Nuggets had one timeline. The Nuggets, I guess you could argue, had a second timeline of players, but they were all just role players, right? Nobody's thinking, for as good as Christian Braun is, we're probably seeing pretty much who he is, right? And unless, Caruso, whatever the case may be, but we're not seeing, when I think two timeline, I'm thinking there is another core, right? And then within that second core, you think at least one of them, I don't know, is going to be a top 20 player at least, hopefully better than that. So the two timeline conversation that comes up so much, I'm just trying to figure out where is the example of that working within the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years.
Well, I think what's tough is that no model works unless you have an MVP caliber player in their prime on your team when it comes to a championship. But if you look at the rebuilding teams right now, like when the X on the Sack chat, not Twitter, the user on the Sack chat mentions the two timelines being essentially older guys versus younger guys. If you look at Utah right now, they've kind of been the same thing. They've been getting younger, but they've still had Markkanen and Clarkson and Colin Sexton and John Collins. If you look at Portland right now, they've been trying to get younger, but they've still had Jeremy Grant and Matisse Thybulle and DeAndre Ayton. They've had high-priced older guys for a lot of their rebuild. I think that's just the nature of the NBA now, is in a league where you have to have a 90% salary floor, you're just going to end up having to pay some 30-year-old $40 million because you have to pay someone $40 million.
Yeah. And, I'm reading some of the text here, and someone X again is mentioning Robinson and Duncan. Could that be one of them? I think for sure that's one of the conversations. But again, look how far back we're going is my larger point in this. So, for the Kings of all teams, right? For the Kings of all teams to say, we're going to pull up the two timeline when their first timeline doesn't, I don't think, scare anybody. That's a pretty interesting approach. And I don't think it's a matter of a two timeline. If you think about it, it's just a matter of, we have a couple young players and we have draft picks, because every team has their, the kind of guys that are getting the majority of the minutes, and then they're younger guys, right? That's not a two timeline thing. So I don't know if the Kings actually have two timeline, or if we're all just getting used to them having picks that we are excited about, and just, kind of a couple consecutive picks in a row that are kind of making up a core of under 25. But I don't know that that's necessarily two timeline. So we will kind of keep that conversation going. Like I said, everything that I've heard as far as the Summer League, LeBron, there's a lot of LeBron talk. I know Bronny was in the building. LeBron and his situation, his future, we have some sound on that, and what teams are also interested. We'll discuss who we've all been the most impressed by so far in Summer League. Should the Kings be positioning themselves for free agency? This is really something that we've been focusing on. And, a lot of people keep saying, well, Zack Lavine's still going to be on the books, right, in 2026. My argument, or I guess my reasoning for feeling as if you can count him, is just the fact that it's expiring. Nobody's necessarily going to sign up to pay him $49 million, but it is at least expiring. And, you can use some of what we've kind of seen other teams do in order to get where you need to go. And if he has a great season, right now, I don't want to misspeak on who spoke on the idea of Zack Lavine getting the stretched out contract and kind of extending it to kind of lower that AAV. But he has a really good year. I mean, if he has the same type of year he had this past season, and if the Kings do, I guess that's the funny thing about this two timeline, or kind of trying to be successful in the immediate and also in the future. I guess if they win and if they exceed expectations, then you're dealing with the situation where, okay, well, we're now going to re-sign Zack Lavine because we want to keep this thing going. We lost in the first round, whatever it is. And again, that delays the Nick Cliffords of the world, all those guys, because only so many can play. So the 2 timeline thing to me, I think it's obviously overblown. I saw Brandon Pajemski walking around yesterday, and that's just off the top of my head as far as the older guys and younger guys and Kaminga, but they have what? If you look at the Warriors, quote unquote, 2 timeline, and it's obviously changed a little bit now, but I guess at the time it was Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kaminga,
Wiseman,
Moses Moody, Wiseman, obviously. So I guess because they had those 2 picks, whenever that was, with Kaminga and Moody, that kind of said, hey, we doubled up on our core, and it was 2 lottery picks, but it's just not something I don't think I'm willing to say the Kings have 2 timelines. They just have had consecutive picks the last couple years, and people are excited about them. But I don't think there's a 2 timeline situation going on here. The Warriors had, like you said, Kyle, they had 3 lottery picks in that stretch, 3 out of the 4.
Well, 3 lottery picks, and you could argue the best pick they had was Poole, which was a late first rounder.
Yeah, so I don't. It's just that, and again, if you look around the league right now, who else? They kind of fell into that with the Clay injury and other teams getting injured. So I'm not completely sure how you even say who else has quote unquote 2 timelines. It's
Let's just go back through the champions here. So would you say the Celtics in 2024, that wasn't a 2 timeline situation?
Absolutely not.
Nuggets in 23? No, not really.
But to me, that right there is essentially what we're talking about with the Kings. Like you have some young players that you're excited about, but I don't, it's not the same as, oh, we think we're going to have a full core. Majority of our starting 5 we drafted. That's really what the 2 timeline is. Do you think in 5 years that majority of the Kings lineup will be guys that they drafted? And I don't think so. And that's not even a dig. I just don't think it happens very much.
I just think it depends on what they end up deciding to do next summer, right? Because we've talked about De Rozan would be off the books. Lavine has a player option. It's a lot easier to move his contract with 1 year, or they could just buy him out.
Right.
Sabonis has 2 years left on his deal. That's kind of the time where we got to at least start the conversation about what we're going to do moving forward, even if it doesn't end in a contract extension or a trade. So right. I think if they decide to go to the bottom, I think there's a better chance you're going to see a roster full of Kings draft picks, because then they would have high upside lottery picks.
Yeah. And that is where, okay, cool. This is a player that we think is going to be someone we bring to the table. We were talking yesterday with some people from Detroit, right? And obviously Cade Cunningham, that conversation comes up, and, how good do you think he can be? Those are the types of conversations that you need to be having. If you're not having those types of conversations, at some point, you're just still looking. And right now, the Kings are kind of delaying being able to look. But, again, I'm not doing the negative thing. Hopefully, it won't all be for nothing. And like I said, a lot of the people that I talk to, hey, I wouldn't do it that way. But, you ever have that where you're talking to somebody and maybe you're showing your kids something or whoever, you say, oh, I wouldn't have done it that way, but whatever works for you. And that's probably the theme from out here, Vegas and Summer League. When I was talking to a lot of people about the Kings, it's maybe it'll work for them, right? It hasn't worked for other people, but maybe it'll work for them.
Maybe we're different.
Yeah, maybe they can do what other people just don't do. So 4 hours with you, really excited. I'm going to be trying to grab people when they pop in and really give you this Vegas experience, leading you up to another game tonight with the Sacramento Kings trying to go 3-0 in Summer League. We will be right back with you, Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by the Roseville Auto Mall.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. It's Monday, getting out the door to a cool start thanks to that Delta breeze. That breeze will go away as we head through the afternoon, expecting temperatures to warm up. Highs across the valley, 97 degrees to 102. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
The Roseville Auto Mall is Northern California's ultimate destination when looking for your next vehicle. Find the largest selection with 20 top brands. And right now, save big on the perfect vehicle for your summer fun during our summertime savings event. The Roseville Auto Mall, driven to be the best.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-838-6767. That's 800-838-6767.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave. I got to tell you, I am so excited to get this decking project started with Trex Decking and Railings. From the first time I stepped foot in the showroom last week, I was so impressed. So many color options, heat-resistant composite deck. What does that mean? That means I don't have to do any maintenance on it whatsoever.
Anyway, we can,
so you can go online and see what your dream deck will look like on your house. Just visit Trex, that's TREX.com to get it started. Tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
Shooting lower scores isn't always about changing your swing or equipment. Sometimes it's as simple as changing how you hit certain shots on the course. Molly Braid, a Golf Digest Best Young Teacher, sees a classic mistake on uphill chips. Players will grab a sand wedge thinking the high-lofted club will get the ball in the air, but instead, the ball pops too high and comes up short. Use a club with less loft, Braid says. Grab your pitching wedge, 9-iron, or even 8-iron, depending on how far you hit the ball. Set up with your hips and shoulders in line with the hill. The handle is going to come back, and there will be added loft to the club, so it will have more height, like a sand wedge. Your pitching wedge and your 9-iron don't have as much loft as your sand wedge, but when you're hitting from a steep uphill lie, your pitching wedge is going to produce sand wedge-like results. You'll get that high trajectory up and over the hill to land soft on the green. If that's your Golf to Go, I'm Frank LaRosa.
Get ready for a night out with Jordan Davis.
Hello. Yeah, hi, my name is Allen.
More Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo.
Sponsored by Trex Racing Cage Stick and Figures and Naturewood Home Furnishings. Tickets at CATPFest.com.
Around here, the summer can smack you silly, especially if your AC is not functioning at a high level. Whitey Gleason here. I had the opposite problem over the winter. System went down. It was panic time, but Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating saved the day. Let them save you from unnecessary summer misery. Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating, reliable, trustworthy. They do great work. They've won awards for their service. Check the reviews at leesair.com. Find out about their $99 HVAC tune-up service. Save your summer now. Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating on the web at leesair.com. License number 635355.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/SacktownSports1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
We are live from Vegas and taking you up to 2 p.m. as always, the Allen Stiles Show. And we are breaking down all things Summer League, man. And it has been quite an experience. Everybody talks about it. Oh, you got to go. You got to go. I will say, though, the hot wind is crazy. The hot wind is insane. Obviously, everybody knows how hot it gets in Vegas. And I thought I was built for it. You know, being that I've been in Sacramento a couple years, it's just a different type of heat. What
was the temperature yesterday?
I think yesterday was supposed to be 108. I don't know if it got there, but I know it was supposed to be really bad. The other problem was, and I was getting made fun of by some other SAC media members that were around, but I wasn't really sure. I didn't know what to pack. Okay. So basically any light shirt, it's a wrap because you're going to look sweaty. You can't do it. So I had shirts that I brought. I get out here, I can't wear them. So yesterday I'm actually in a long sleeve athletic looking trainer with shorts on because I don't want to look all sweaty. Kyle, it was a disaster. It was a disaster because I didn't know what to wear. But yeah, man, it's hot out here. It's not a game. Sacramento didn't prepare me for nothing.
Well, yeah, we're in the Central Valley. They're in a literal desert. Like mankind should not exist in the place that you are right now. It's literally the desert.
So that has been my experience, and I managed to get the button down. The good thing was that that because we had the show this morning, I put on the button down and I got pants on, but then it was still early enough where I didn't get hit by the heat because I got my bag because I'm going to the airport. So I didn't get hit by the heat, but I know when I leave and I got to go walk to go pick up my Uber or whatever, it's going to get real sweaty real quick.
Oh, that's going to be brutal because you've got the backpack with all your equipment and luggage.
Yes.
You got a third bag with you? You had to check a bag?
No. Only 2 bags and, just 2 carry-ons because you know how Southwest is. You got to pay and I am not doing that.
I get it. One up top, one under the seat,
That's right. But I'm trying to keep it down because there's a seminar behind me, but no other media members in the building quite yet. I'm still working, going back and forth with Yossi Goslin of the Third Apron, who does great stuff for us. And whenever he comes on the show, and we may have him at 10:45, but do not put that in Sharpie quite yet. He's running around. A lot of people are doing a bunch of stuff, but yeah, I mean, compared to Saturday, this place is it's desolate. So, everybody was in Thursday, Friday, even yesterday or Sunday was when it started to slow down, but whoever is still bouncing around, we're going to try to have you on the show. Speaking of, just real quick, I know it's a ton of NBA today, but speaking of bouncing around, Juwan Jennings, Adam Schefter released this early this morning. Juwan Jennings, wide receiver drama is back in San Francisco. 49ers wide receiver wants a new deal or a trade. I thought that whole thing was going to be fascinating, how they signed him on the, they got that 2-year deal and everybody was happy for him. I think the problem was we watched him be, the X receiver with Debo when Ayuk was out. I'm the number 1 receiver. You traded Debo. Ayuk is coming off of ACL. I need my bread, or I don't. My guess is that he doesn't want to leave. I think my guess is the price has changed, right? After last season, the price has changed. You got rid of Debo, and you can go ahead and, there's no dig at Ricky Pearsall, but you can go ahead with Ricky Pearsall if you want, but kind of think you want to pay me. So not sure how much we'll get into it today because obviously we're going Summer League focused, but Yeah, coming out of San Francisco, I thought that was a pretty surprise. I think the timing is the most surprising because all of the Sacramento, or excuse me, the San Francisco Niners fans, they all thought, oh, finally, no drama. And as we're just getting closer and closer to training camp, nope, we're still going to have some. So, yeah, we might get to more of that tomorrow, but just wanted to kind of give you a note on that. Let's talk about the developing talent thing. And we had somebody show up on the Sac Chat, and this is Brett. And Brett says, I'm not sure why these people are having questions about what the Kings are doing. It's clear as day they are trying to unmoney themselves. It's not rocket science here. I think that's an interesting statement, Brett, because is this unmoneying or is this just remoneying in a different way, going and getting a Dennis Schroeder? And I would say, look, it takes two to tango in a trade, but they haven't moved anybody that Monty was associated with besides Jonas Valanciunas, who was there for 2 months. So I don't think they're unmoneying themselves. I think they're trying to rework the Monty situation. That's how I would put it. But you know, just being around all the young players this weekend, and speaking of, like I said, Kyle, I got to be careful with some of the stories, but when the average height this weekend, just at every event with all these, I don't know who's a G leaguer, I don't know who's not. All I know is for men, I think the average height was probably 6'5". For women, it was probably everybody had heels on everywhere all the time. So cool 5'11". It was rough sledding.
It put you in your place a little bit.
Rough sledding. Leaving the game, just walking past people. It was rough, but you got to hold your head up high. You got to hold your head up high. But seeing all these young players and all the fans, honestly, we talked to a lot of Kings fans. By the way, great thanks to Brendan, Frankie, and Chris. We have a ton of content coming out that we're still editing, and we're going to have that for you. A bunch of Kings fans were out here, but all the excitement for these young players, especially with teams that are kind of in tough spots. On Saturday, the Kings, taking on the Bulls, right? And Matas Buzelis didn't play, but I know for a fact that Bulls fans are really excited about him. You had Yuki out there. Yuki was cooking. He was doing his thing, and obviously he's kind of in a different category. But their number 10, number 12 pick was there and trying to put his stamp on everything. So just being out there just made you feel like we joke about hope. Right. And hope for the Sacramento Kings and for the Kings to just handle the Bulls the way they handled them. Like I said, no Matas Buzelis, but it just, you turn back around and you see what the Kings are trying to do this season, and you just hope, I'm not going to do the same, what are they doing? But you just hope that whatever this is doesn't hinder the development of some real promising young talent. When you have people saying, I think Maxim Reno was a first-round pick. Nick Clifford obviously was a first-round pick to the Kings. Devin Carter, he shows up in a big way, and you still got Keon Ellis, you still got Keegan Murray. So whatever this is, don't let it, I don't want to say get in the way, but kind of don't let it get in the way of what your future could be. And I think a lot of Kings fans would feel that way. Now, I don't know how that breaks down as far as playing time and things like that, but you can't have more than a couple years of this because you don't want the same thing to happen. Look, Jonathan Kaminga, luckily he's only 22, but if he had the runway that he feels like he wanted to have, who Jonathan Kaminga kind of reminds me of? He kind of reminds me of Ace Bailey. And obviously we never heard any reports, and it's hard to say I don't want to go to the Warriors, and he is a champion now, but he kind of reminds me of Ace Bailey, where it's, hey, if I had it to do over again, I would just go to a bad team so I have room to run. I have room to kind of, fall on my knees and get cuts and bruises and be able to learn from that. But, with the Kings and what they have going on, let's just hope, like I said, right now, Neek and Devin are essentially going to fight for playing time. You still got Keon in the mix, obviously. With all these shooting guards, it turns into her wings, I should say. It turns into who is going to be able to, take that step. I know you got to take advantage of every opportunity, but who's going to be able to take that step when they are, sitting behind volume shooters, or in the case of Keegan Murray, playing with a volume shooter. All right, let's get to a quick break. No clue if Yossi Gozlan is going to pop in or not, but if he does, we will have him. If not, we still continue. We'll get some texts here at the bottom of the hour before I reveal some of the things that I heard while out here at Summer League at 11 o'clock. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your priceless vinyl collection. Sure, you sleep on a futon because the money most people would have spent on a bed you spent on more records. But forget the fact that you can stream just about any song ever created for a few dollars a month. No, you need to listen to music in the most difficult way possible. So go ahead and get Progressive so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Western Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Leslie now for your free exit info kit. 800-838-6767. That's 800-838-6767.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore, and every Viking voyage is all-inclusive with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Hear me. And then
That is Business Phone List. The Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs. You sound very calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
It is peak summertime for Sacramento River Cats baseball. From July 18th through the 27th, we have 9 River Cats home games in 10 days at Sutter Health Park. It's the perfect time to bring the whole family for affordable, action-packed baseball and nonstop fun. With every game offering something special, don't miss the excitement. There's no better place to be this summer than right here at the ballpark with the Sacramento River Cats. Get your tickets at rivercats.com.
Hi, Sacramento. It's the No Surprise Guys at Bell Brothers Plumbing and Air Conditioning. Is your AC on the fritz? Call Bell Brothers. Looking to replace your old unit with a 0% financing and no payments for 12 months on approved credit? Call Bell Brothers. We're fast, reliable, and respect your time by showing up when we say we will. The price we quote is the price you pay. We are the No Surprise Guys. Call today to get a free estimate on a new HVAC system, or simply schedule your $87 AC Precision tune-up to keep your system running smoothly. With more technicians, more trucks, and more experience, we get the job done right the first time. No surprises. Our technicians are all background checked, drug tested, and will leave the work area cleaner than they found it. Don't wait. Call Bell Brothers today or book online at nosurpriseguys.com. That's nosurpriseguys.com.
The Giant Summer Sale is here. Get giant savings on our giant selection only at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking to own or lease? Save during the Honda Summer Event and drive a brand new Accord or Civic. See all our specials at FolsomLakeHonda.com.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Go to FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Your one-stop Honda shop.
The Hagen Oaks Cutting Edge Putter Fitting Studio offers you more technology, more choices, and more service. Hagen Oaks wants to be your go-to total golf game fitter. With $30,000 worth of state-of-the-art technology ready for your fitting, Hagen Oaks will help you make your best putting stroke while finding the best putter design, shape, hosel, length, and loft for your game. Schedule your fitting at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531 for more.
Live and local
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
We are back here with Yossi Goslin of the Third Apron. Yossi, thanks so much for joining us. I'm trying to figure out how to do this camera. There we go.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, Alan. It's been a fun couple of days.
Let's get you. Oh, here we go.
No, it's been thanks for having me on, Alan. It's been a fun couple of days. Didn't know you were coming, so it's surprising to see you walk into the room. And yeah, we're just here watching the games, seeing everybody.
Yeah.
That's kind of more or less what it is. Like, for the most part, yeah, you come here to work, do some media, but also about seeing all these people you connect with online.
Yeah.
People that you've been on with their shows.
That's right. That's right.
In real life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, and how many have you been to for Summer League?
This is technically my fourth. My first was 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
Not a rookie anymore, but I'm not also the most experienced. Usually they're quicker trips. Here I'm doing my first full week. So yeah.
Well, I mean, a week in Vegas, that's always going to be kind of tough. Let's talk about obviously you're with the Third Apron, you kind of a play on the Second Apron conversation. I was talking to a couple people in the, obviously with the cap and how all of that is continuing to change. Someone I spoke to said that the Second Apron looks scary now, but it will make more sense and teams are going to adapt, be able to move around it. And of course, my first Summer League, everyone's saying, it's way quieter than it normally is. Do you think that this is just a transition period before people just kind of adapt to the new world order?
I think for the most part, the Second Apron just kind of became a buzzword where I don't know how it happened. It's like you hear the word and everyone gets terrified of what it means to be in there. I mean, very few teams are even in there. It's just mostly like, when you're in the aprons, it's the less you can do to build out your team. And most teams are below it. And then like the Kings right now, they have a lot more ways, a lot more flexibility to do whatever they need to do to improve the team. I think for the most part, I don't think it's going to have like any real big negative effects. The biggest thing is it's probably shortening the highest end of what a team's championship window could be, because it gets just really expensive. When you're in the Second Apron, you're deep in the tax. They change the tax rules where it's way more expensive now. So for the Thunder, for example, they're going to be in the Second Apron eventually, but they're uniquely situated to be okay with it. They've had the appetite to spend in the past. People forget they paid a lot of money in the Paul George years. They got all these draft picks, so they're gonna be able to replace a lot of their role players. So like it's basically like they'll chip away from the bottom, but they're not gonna move. They don't need to move their top guys, probably not for a while. So I think for the most part, it's just kind of forcing teams to prioritize drafting well, really manage well, or else you're in a situation where you're going to have to reset things because you don't want to spend a lot of money for a team that's not going to be that good.
Yeah, and I think that's been the interesting conversation about the Kings, because a lot of people want ownership to go into the luxury tax, but it's I look at it as a chicken or the egg thing where I think you go into the luxury what the Pacers did, right? Whether or not the Pacers should have gotten all the way to the finals, fine. But hey, you get to the second round. It's supposed to take you over the top. The luxury tax. It's not supposed to get you a 6 seed. That's just kind of how I've always felt about it.
So with the luxury tax, I think for the most part, they also changed it where a team like the Pacers, if they got into it a little bit, it wouldn't be that expensive. Like the Rockets are now in it, but it's like a very low payment they're going to make because they reduced it in the lower ends, but made it more expensive in the higher ends. So the thing about the tax, it's like, if it doesn't really make sense to pay it if your team's not at least going to be a playoff team.
Right.
So this isn't. So if, like the Kings are not going to pay the tax this year, and it's just because they're probably not good enough. Like if they and the other thing though, even if they do make the playoffs, they're still going to want to like practically speaking, it makes sense to hold off from being a taxpayer if you could, because the more years you are in it, then eventually you get designated as a repeater taxpayer, and then you pay even higher rates. That's where Boston is right now. That's why they're trying to save so much money, because it just doesn't make sense to pay. They were going to have like a over $250 million tax payment, just to keep Holiday, Porzingis, all those guys together. That didn't make sense, especially with the Tatum injury, and they already saved a bunch of money, and they're probably going to save some more. So that's the thing where like you want to time your windows now. You want to time like what year you're going to pay in the tax, how many years you're going to be in the tax, how much you're going to pay, and then how many years until you eventually get into the second apron. Like you got to now all these new rules just kind of like forces a team to time when they want to get over these certain thresholds. So for a team like the Kings right now, like most teams, they're still far away. They're still ways away from like being a contender. Once you're like closer to that level where you're good enough to win a playoff series, at least, then it makes more sense to pay the tax just with the way the system incentivizes teams to go about it.
Zack Lavine is a name that's come up, and I think it's 47 this season, and then 49 after that in a player option. I've been discussing, not obviously the offseason that we're in right now, but the next offseason. I've been discussing how, hey, the season after that, or that this upcoming offseason, this is where you could see the Kings make some moves, because Zack Lavine, among other things, but Zack Lavine, he's going to accept the option. It's $50 million, but it is expiring. Do you think teams have more of an appetite? Let's say a team that, could use some 3-point shooting, could use a secondary scorer. Do you think that Zack Lavine would be looked at a little bit differently once it's an expiring contract, even though it's still a ton of money?
It's hard to say, just based on how the trade, like how he got traded, where Lavine was having an amazing year, and once the Kings acquired him, the Bulls didn't really get much value back from him. They basically were he played well enough where they were able to just move him. It seems like they just got
Kevin Herter.
They just got contracts back, and they got like their own draft pick back, which they were probably going to keep anyways, based on the protections. So so based on that, it doesn't seem like there's really an appetite for Lavine at that contract. If he was making maybe closer to something in the 30s, okay, maybe I'm sure there might be more teams interested. So I'll be interested in seeing what happens with that player option, because they changed the rules where he can sign an extension where he decreases it. Now,
that was the Kyrie thing a little bit.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's what Kyrie did. The question now is, I guess, the difference now is we have a new front office that didn't acquire Lavine. Are they interested in extending Lavine to something now? They could sign this type of extension now where, okay, he signs for less, but then you got to give him at least like 2 or 3 extra years on top of that. Are the Kings willing to commit those years to him, even at something a little more favorable, even if it's something like in the mid 30s, something like that? that's what we don't know. We don't know how the front office feels about Lavine. So if I had to guess, I would guess they probably want to play things out a little bit. And maybe, just they're more likely to get to a better, they have more optionality, I think, if they just run things out.
Just eat it. He has a good season this upcoming season. He opts in, and you probably just eat it, because at that point now that'd be going into year 3 of Scott Perry at that point. So we'll see what happens there. Yosi, I could just keep talking to you every time, but I know you got to get back. And we were talking earlier, just when I wasn't sure if you were going to come on or not, about what you're doing, the sports business classes. But you're teaching them. You're instructing them. So a great job, man. Go check out the3rdapron.com. Follow Yosi on social media. Great follow. And, he's kind of been the talk of the town here at Summer League, because you're doing your thing, man. You're on the rise, and we appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Alan. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much, man. When we return, 11 o'clock hour, everything I've been hearing about Jonathan Kaminga and Malik Monk. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Tune into Sacktown Sports this week for live coverage of the 153rd Open Championship from Royal Portrush. Brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality.
July 4th savings explode at Maida's Elk Grove Chevy. Save $10,750 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado half-ton LT and RST 5.3 in stock.
Maida Chevy has similar savings on every new Silverado. One of the largest selections in the Sacramento area.
$10,750 off new Silverado. Exclusively at the Maida Chevy Silverado Supercenter. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Rated through 11 or new. Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers.
Hagen Oaks wants to be your go-to total golf game fitter. Try the TrackMan experience, the very best technology to fit your metalwoods and irons. The new cutting-edge putter fitting studio with its $30,000 worth of technology is ready for your fitting. Hagen Oaks will help you find the best putter for your game. Hagen Oaks offers more technology, more choices, and more service. Schedule your fitting at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio by calling 916-808-2531, 808-2531 for more.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
Carmichael Dave here for my friends at American Energy Heating and Air. Yes, I always tell you they are a family-owned operation, been in business since 81, A-plus Better Business Bureau, but it is hot. We are in those Sacramento hot months. I want to focus on them being your second opinion partner. What does that mean? Maybe you've got somebody you're working with or you've worked with in the past in the HVAC world. Guess what? They want to give you a second opinion. How much does it cost? Nothing. You call them up and say, hey, can I get a second opinion on this deal? They come out and they either say, wow, that's a great deal. You should feel better about that. Or they say, we can beat that price. And usually they're going to beat it by a lot. Guess what? You just saved money and it didn't cost you anything to find out. It's a no-lose situation. Go with a trusted company. American Energy, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
What's up? We're talking to Chad Hobbit, a Hobbit Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Woodland. What's happening for the Hobbit Employee Pricing Plus sales event?
Right now, you can get the family wherever you need to get them. When you save up to $17,000 off MSRP on the new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xEs. With the gas tax having gone up this month, that means you save even more at the pump with one of America's favorite hybrids.
What's happening at the giant Hobbit Certified Pre-Owned Supercenter?
Well, not only is Hobbit your one-stop shop for new Ram trucks, we are your pre-owned truck superstore. Right now, we have over 100 quality pre-owned trucks in stock. So whatever truck you're looking for, your perfect ride is waiting at Hobbit. Diesels, lifted trucks, 4x4s, Hemis, heavy duties. We have them all waiting for you.
Search, select, and save through our whole inventory, new and used, at HoblettDodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblet, period. 17,000 total net savings after 7,500 factor rebates and 9,500 dealer discounts. Rebates may include 2,500 2025 select inventory bonus cash, 500 first responder bonus cash for eligible first responders. Employee pricing for all included in dealer discount. VIN number 712678. See dealer for details.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports 1140. Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Taking you up to 2 p.m., 1 hour down, 1 to go. Thank you to Yossi Goslin, who kicked off our guest segments, and we should have a couple. Brendan Nunez, Chris Watkins, they might be calling in. We're figuring out how we're going to get them. Shoot around for the Kings starts right now, so that's where they are at right now. And then after that, based on who they get to talk to, we'll kind of have them on and get a vibe on how everybody's feeling going into game 3 of the Summer League, with the Kings being undefeated. Yeah, Yossi bringing up the Zack Lavine, or I guess I brought it up, but Yossi speaking on the Zack Lavine situation makes me a little bit more worried than I previously was. It's just a lot of money, and I don't think you extend him in hopes of trading him, which is something that you could do. But again, going back to the timeline conversation and whether or not there are two timelines, you extend him even if he's at, he's not trying to take a $10 million pay. I mean, that's probably what it would be, right? But even $35 million, that's still a nice chunk of change, and that's still a lot of shots that somebody who at that point would be 30 getting that a 24, 25-year-old isn't getting. So, yeah, I don't know. It's been really quiet on the Zack Lavine front, and everybody that I talked to, Yossi included, I think it's more of just we know that he's going to be here. What happens after this year, like we said, that urgency, that's a lot of money to try to put on the books in a trade deadline situation. But, based on a team that maybe finds himself in a situation they didn't think they were going to be in, maybe they say, hey, we'll take 1 year Zack Lavine, and maybe he gets hot, and we can make a run at it in an Eastern Conference team, something like that. So speaking of the things that I've kind of heard and not heard throughout the couple days that I've been out here, let's start here. And this is probably the biggest headliner of it. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. The Kings, my understanding, or I guess what I'm taking away from some of the conversations that I've had, is that the Kings don't feel like they are there yet roster-wise. They don't feel like they are there yet roster-wise. I don't know if a Russell Westbrook puts them in a good spot, or they feel like that puts them in a good spot. Obviously, we had Scott Perry, and he was talking during the first game, and during that first game, they were bringing up the point guard stuff and how they are still looking for another point guard, but they don't think that the roster is quite there yet, or at least that's kind of my understanding based on, conversations that I've had. And the question is really what they think they're missing. It could be, again, obviously the point guard. Do they think they need two things? Do they think they don't need another wing? When the center position as well, now that you don't have, and Maxim Reno, obviously he plays the center position, but he could go 4 as well. Is there somebody out there? Do you bring in a DeAndre Jordan? Do you bring in somebody to just have a third body? That's a lot of, and I guess you bring Trey Lyles back, but Maxim Reno, Trey Lyles, not totally redundant, but they do some similar things as far as stretching the floor. So yeah, they are still trying to make a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, but they are still trying to feel better about where they're at. They like where they're at, and that's what Scott Perry said when they signed Dennis Schroeder. I like where we are today. We'll see what happens moving forward. But yeah, it's my understanding that the Kings definitely feel like if we're going to do this, if we're going to do the retool thing, we need more tools in the toolbox. I just upgraded my toolbox, had the little one. I think it might have been from my father-in-law. And, you get to a point where, okay, that was when we were in an apartment. Now we're in a house. I need a bigger toolbox. So, maybe that's how the Kings feel. Hey, if we are going to retool this thing, we got Dennis Schroeder and we feel good about that, but we need something else. And now maybe the rust thing, because we'll see if that goes away or not, but maybe the rust thing is more about just a type of player that the Kings haven't had, and maybe they're valuing that over the position, which you can agree with or disagree with, but maybe that is part of the culture building, if you will, more so than we truly think we need another point guard. Or like we said, the way, I guess you could argue and we've had a ton of conversations about playmaking versus or passing versus playmaking. They just don't see Malik as a guy who can play make in the way that they are thinking, because I feel like Malik can play make, but maybe they don't think that it's enough. But either way, they like what they've done. They want to do more. I don't know that that's going to be anything big. And, in my opinion, right, it's the PJ Washingtons of the world. It doesn't really feel like they are, and we really just haven't heard anything about any type of wing other than Jonathan Kaminga, which is kind of, I want to say bizarre, but it's definitely a choice, right? Especially when you're doing the timeline thing. Is it a matter of, hey, you get the talent into the building, and then when the first kind of go round is over with Domantas Sabonis, Zack Lavine, then you just have Kaminga waiting in the wings? I think that would make a lot more sense if Kaminga, and I'm going to say it, if Kaminga didn't say things that he said as far as wanting to be he didn't say focal point, but he wants to be having all-star conversations. So that, it still doesn't make sense to me. And let's just kind of move into the Kaminga update conversation now. I just want to reiterate again, and I know we talked about it, a couple of weeks ago now, but yeah, a lot of people were very confused at what happened in Sacramento with the Jonathan Kaminga thing and how quickly it just caught fire. It immediately caught fire, and everybody was, kind of trying to figure out how far along is this Jonathan Kaminga thing. As far as just getting confirmation with people that I've talked to here, it really wasn't close. And I know we had Brett Siegel, where we're hoping to have him on the show in the 1 o'clock hour, but yeah, a lot of people were just confused as to what exactly was happening. And, Jonathan Kaminga as a whole and how he's being viewed in league circles, if you will, I don't know. Well, it's not that I don't know, because they told me the star power and star potential of Jonathan Kaminga is being questioned a little bit, which makes a lot of sense, because if you think somebody's going to be a star, I know it's restricted free agency and things are tough. If you think somebody is going to be a star, you go get them. So the fact that the Warriors are still dealing with this and trying to figure out the value that he has, I don't necessarily need to tell you that. The league is telling us, right? A couple teams have kind of popped up, and maybe there's interest with the Bucks and teams that just don't even really make sense. So, the theme that I took away from everyone I talked to regarding Jonathan Kaminga is that they don't know how shiny the star power is, right? And they don't know if they're willing to bring somebody in and just say, okay, you're also talking about how much you want to be this star and do these things. So here you go. Here are the keys. Right? When you look at the young players in this league and who the keys have been given to, most of them have done more than Jonathan Kaminga. Right. And maybe I'm overstating what he said. Maybe it's less about give me the keys and more about just can I just count on 30 minutes a night? Can I count on 30 plus minutes a night? Can I have some plays drawn up for me? Is it okay if I say, hey, I'm feeling it right now, and everyone just kind of feeds me? But obviously, when other guys are going, they can get fed too. Can I be a part of something like that? So maybe it's not about giving the keys to the franchise, but it does feel like Jonathan Kaminga, and I know it's come up before, but it does feel like there is a disconnect, right? And the disconnect, or there's two disconnects. What Jonathan Kaminga thinks he is and wants to be, what the league thinks he is, including the Warriors. That's pretty much it, right? I think that teams do believe he could be a star, but as of right now, what they're willing to wager, right, and give up to get him clearly isn't that much. Now, with that being said, is that Devin Carter Saric in 2 seconds? There can be a middle ground, and that was the funny thing in when everything was going down. There can be a middle ground, and the middle ground is probably going to get figured out after he gets signed to that short-term deal. But the idea that, well, since you don't have any other offers, you have to take the Kings offer. Well, no, they don't. And, and they never did. And they could have if they wanted to, but that is not something that the Warriors wanted to do at that time. But yeah, a lot of people are just not quite sure what Kaminga is supposed to be. And that's a cautionary tale to a lot of these players. You have to fit a type, right? Now, if you're a star, they'll tell you that. And I think there are people in the Warriors organization that told Jonathan Kaminga that, very powerful, important people at a certain time. That didn't jive well with going to a team like the Warriors that are ready to win now. And we can't let you just run up and down the court for 82 games and just hope that we get another lottery pick. That's not what we're doing. So people like Jonathan Kaminga, they're just not really sure if he's ever going to be the, hey, we got to circle this guy every night, right? Are we talking MVP? What are we, MVP conversations? What are we actually talking about? That's the holdup right now with Jonathan Kaminga, and trying to find that middle ground. As far as, we do believe in you, we do think that the ceiling is high. This is how much we believe in you. You come into a situation and you go from there. Just another thing to know, and I heard this as well. Josh Giddey and that restricted free agency situation, that has been kind of not teetering, but initially nobody within the Bulls organization was worried about it. And now it is seeming a little bit more confusing. Funny enough that came up. I was kind of just talking with somebody, and I don't know if it was, if they knew something or if this was them just kind of reading the tea leaves because nothing had happened. The obvious thing to me, which I'd been saying, was Kobe White. And we've talked about Kobe White a lot on the show. His value, I think, is pretty high. He's on an expiring deal. And the obvious conversation would be Jonathan Kaminga, right? Because whether the Bulls have been at this point, it's, did the Bulls have interest, or did people create the interest because, hey, you're not doing anything with your life? Take Jonathan Kaminga and let him run around for the next 2-3 seasons. Not so fast with the Kobe White, as far as the Bulls maybe deciding to, they move on from Lonzo, and Kobe White and Josh Giddey are not the same type of point guard at all. So maybe the Bulls are thinking, Kobe White, 25, 26, what are we going to get back? What are we going to get back for him, right? Do we want to just go with Jonathan Kaminga? Who's going to be better? And Kobe White is obviously 3, maybe 4 years older than Jonathan Kaminga. But who's going to be better, Kobe White or Jonathan Kaminga? Look, man, this East has people tripping, right? And when I say tripping, I mean thinking that maybe they could have some opportunities to do some things with the Celtics out, with the Celtics missing Jason Tatum, and with the Pacers missing Tyrese Halliburton. So I'm not saying that's what the Bulls think that they're going to compete, but maybe that expiring contract, they weren't sure. Maybe they are less sure that they're going to get decent value back for Kobe White. And, I think Kobe White and Josh Giddey can play together. So that's a Kaminga spot. I say all this to say, as far as a Kaminga spot, if they keep Kobe White, now he's going to be expiring the whole season. So, they can figure something out even if they don't sign him. But if they keep Kobe White, I don't see, specifically right now, the Warriors cannot do a deal with them. And the Vucevic thing, I think Vucevic makes too much money. It would be confusing. Warriors would have to send more. So that's another spot that I think we'd all just assumed would come up for Jonathan Kaminga. You really haven't heard much. And on the other side, I've heard nothing about Kobe White and any types of destinations. I guess nothing within the last week or so about whether he will, he'll be moved or not. So that's kind of the Jonathan Kaminga update. Teams are interested, but the issue right now is what is his value? And do I think, and I'm saying as a front office member of an NBA team, do I think that Jonathan Kaminga is going to be our guy every night, who's going to be, somebody that we can count on at that level? And they don't know that yet, right? And maybe once the price tag kind of changes a little bit, and the Warriors don't know that, because if they did, we wouldn't be having this conversation, So the Warriors, I will say, they got to get off their high horse a little bit, right? Just lower how high it is, because if he was worth all of this and a bag of chips, why are you trying to move him? Because of the fit. I mean, I get it, the fit's not great, but you do have spacing. I mean, when people say the fit's not great, it's really just Jimmy Butler and Kaminga playing together. Without that, and it's also the way Kaminga plays, maybe even more so than his actual position. But if you just don't think you're getting through to the kid, right? We're trying to tell him, to do this, do that, and he's just not listening. Right, that's the problem. He's just not listening. I'm not saying they're saying that, but maybe this is why they may be choosing to move on. Vincent Ramirez says, any truth to Golden State not wanting to trade him at all to the Kings? Yeah, that I read that in a Clutch Point article from Brett Siegel. I believe Anthony Slater also said that. We talked about it last week, and whether or not it was a rivalry thing, or why wouldn't you want to move him to the Kings, because that kind of feels like a perfect spot, just based on history. If you're not worried about, if you're not really worried about him, or you don't want to worry about him moving forward. So yeah, I've heard that. I think Anthony Slater also said that, as well as I know Brett Siegel wrote about it, and we can ask Brett about it. By the time Brett gets here around 1 o'clock, we might have more news. Michael A. Scotto again. We've had some conversations, and he's going to be on the show in the 1 o'clock hour as well. The rare 1 o'clock just fully loaded hour. So we're excited for that.
Is that because everyone's coming for the games?
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a lot of later starts the longer you've been here in Vegas. I just did the 2-nighter. I'm trying to remember how long Brett's been here and Scotto. But yeah, I think it's a combination of things. The games, they might even get going. I don't know. You might be.
I think there's a 1:30 game today.
Yeah. So they're showing up for the games and do a little bit more schmoozing. I did hear that it just, again, I'm still the only one in the media room. I did hear that starting on Mondays, where things just get real desolate real quick. So yeah, we have those guys coming up, and we'll get into that stuff in more detail. One of the last updates I have for you, and it is the last update because it continues to kind of move and groove. I talked to a lot of people about Malik Monk. Just trying to figure out what is the truth with Malik Monk's value. I talked to somebody connected to Western Conference team. They said the Anthony Simons thing was more of, we have too many of the same guy. And that's the type of stuff that we talked about, right? Just from the outside looking in. It just, all of them, they're not all the same exact player, but you got Anthony Simons, you got, Shaden Sharp, you have Scoot Henderson, and they're not all exactly the same. They're not all exactly the same height, but just too many of kind of similar builds if you want to take it to 2K and video games. So they didn't think it really said as much about the off-guard position. I talked to somebody else. They said the league is moving towards defense, and if you can't play defense, you will be hunted. So even a contract like Malik's, not a bad contract at all, but if you're coming off the bench, we can't throw you in a closing lineup in the playoffs because everyone is getting hunted now. And the kind of breakdown that I was told was most teams, their worst defender is typically the point guard, right? Hey, somebody's going to get attacked. We know it's going to be so-and-so, and we'll kind of react to it. Now, that's not always the case, but a lot of times that's the case. So, and you make up for it. You say, okay, whatever it is, we still can make up for it. In a situation like the Kings, and just in general, so most of these teams already feel like their point guard is a weaker defender. We can't have a shooting guard out there that's a weak defender too, or a weaker defender as well. It's really that simple. So there are teams that, hey, I can't put a Dennis Schroeder is not a bad defender, but I can't put Dennis Schroeder and Malik Monk on the floor at the same time, or I can't put enter point guard and Malik Monk on the floor at the same time. Obviously the Raptors, and we had somebody on from the Raptors that said, hey, I think the Raptors should have interest or not. The Raptors have had interest in the past with Malik Monk, and I think it would be off the bench responsibility for Malik, but yeah, I don't know that you're playing Emmanuel Quickley and Malik Monk that much together. Not really redundancy. I think offensively it would be fine. I think Emmanuel Quickley can make some plays, but defensively, that's the type of stuff that's given teams cause to pause. And even at 18, yeah, the other part of it was I was surprised how people reacted, when I'm just reminding them about Malik's contract, right? I thought that it was a bargain, and a lot of the reactions I got was more so, it's not a bad contract, but you're pretty much at 20 million. There's just so many guys. If you look through, I think Caruso is making less than that, and the Lou Dorts of the world. So again, those guys are defensive savants, but the value, if you will, the no defense part of it is really tough. It's really tough when you're not viewed as a point guard, because they could say, okay, we're kind of used to that, but now you're a two guard. Most point guards are weaker defenders already, so now we have to play two weak defenders on the court, and you might be able to get away with it in the regular season and sneak into a 7 seed or whatever, but you cannot get away with it in the playoffs. Everything is going more matchup based and kind of making sure that if you are making a decision that we can exploit, we are going to exploit it. So to kind of tie a bow on the Malik stuff, every situation is different, but as a whole, the league is valuing defense over everything else, because if you think about it, a lot of these teams that are in situations to win, they already have their dude. So they have their dude, and they might even have their secondary dude, right? And now that you have that, now we just need guys that can shoot and defend. It's the same thing we've been kind of saying in a different way about the Austin Reeves stuff. So, or the Austin Rivers stuff. So if you cannot shoot and defend, and that's an and, not an or, and you're not one of those dudes, right? You're going to be.
I don't need you to have the bag work.
Even in a remote show, Kyle can get it done. One more update for you. Yeah, Demar De Rozan and how he's being viewed around the league. I did ask a lot of people about him, so we will get to that when we return. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by the Roseville Auto Mall.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. It's Monday, getting out the door to a cool start. Thanks to that Delta breeze. That breeze will go away as we head through the afternoon, expecting temperatures to warm up. Highs across the valley, 97 degrees to 102. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
The Roseville Auto Mall is Northern California's ultimate destination when looking for your next vehicle. Find the largest selection with 20 top brands. And right now, save big on the perfect vehicle for your summer fun during our summertime savings event. The Roseville Auto Mall, driven to be the best.
Come check out Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room with the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Plenty of well-lit parking available, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. And remember, Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com, and please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Get ready for a night out with Jordan Davis. It's Country in the Park 2, Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo. Along with the special guests Mitchell Tenpenny, Locash, Vincent Mason, and Abriana. Make it a family day out with food trucks, games, dancing, and more. Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo.
Sponsored by Tricks Racing Cage, Chicken Fingers, and Naturewood Home Furnishings. Tickets at catpfest.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Switching to Progressive is a game-winning call. And that reminds us of other game-winning calls in the history of sports.
It was a doubleheader in August and really hot inside the concession stand. So instead of waiting for people to come to me, I figured I'd walk around yelling, "Hot dogs here!" And that's how I became the first hot dog vendor in sports.
Okay, not really a game-winning call, but it was a good call. You can make one too. Switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Tune into Sacktown Sports this week for live coverage of the 153rd Open Championship from Royal Portrush. Brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality.
July 4th savings explode at Maida's Elk Grove Chevy. Save $10,750 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado half-ton LT and RSP 5.3 in stock.
Exclusively at MaidaChevy.com. Now that's big, huge. Together, let's drive.
For details. For 25 award-winning years in Northern California, Ashton and Price is your local injury law firm. Pro attorney tip: if a firm presents as local but they're in LA, red flag. If your first consultation is not with a lawyer, big red flag. At Ashton & Price, your first consult is with a local attorney, and if serious injury prevents travel, a lawyer will come to you. Still not enough? George Washington's my uncle. At Ashton & Price, no red flags, just red, white, and blue.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
At Power Business Technology, we're not another big box corporation. We're your neighbors, locally owned and operated. We know what businesses like yours need, from reliable printers to high performance copiers. We'll help you find the right solution with personal service you just can't get online. Need setup or support? We're just down the road and always happy to help. Power Business Technology, family hometown service with big time solutions. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729 or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Taking you up to 2 p.m. By the way, we have a giveaway coming up at 12 o'clock in 30 minutes to Monster Jam Freestyle Mania at Golden One Center, August 10th. So that is coming up at 12 o'clock. You don't want to miss that. If you don't want to miss, free tickets to Monster Jam. And here we go from Scott Perry. When difficult situations arise, it is important to approach them with the proper attitude and perspective. Don't ask, quote, why is this happening to me? Instead, ask, quote, what can I learn from this? There will always be times of adversity and triumph. That same perspective should be applied to both equally. Hashtag Monday Motivation. Got some, hey. I'm working on some things, so you need to quit that. We got some comments. Hello, Scott. Hope all is well. Another comment. Great insight, Scott. I love these Monday posts. And then somebody says, hey, can you check in on Vucevic? So, just an array of comments for Scott Perry. And I like him. I've told y'all that I like him. I don't care that Kyle doesn't like him. And I'm not even, doing the thing where I'm carrying water. I like motivational stuff. Everybody knows this about me if you've been listening. And if you just started listening, thank you for joining us. We were taking you up to 2 p.m. The last update, and honestly, I saved it last because there wasn't much to it, was DeMar DeRozan. It's the same thing, everybody that I spoke with, it's just all about really the trade deadline. Just think it's not the Kaminga situation simply because it hasn't happened. It wouldn't be in December, number one, and number two, it would be cleaner than that. But just think as far as, hey, there is an understanding that we're trying to get you somewhere. It's just going to have to make sense. I wouldn't even say trying to get you somewhere. We understand what you want out of your last couple years in the league, and we're going to do our best to do our part and ensure that you get what you want and that we get what we want in return, and we can all leave happy. So not a ton on DeMar DeRozan. Again, going back to the league and where the league is headed, you start looking around, and we were talking about Dylan Cardwell and all of the comps that we had for him. Great defensive play last game, but all the comps we had for him are dudes that aren't in the league anymore. So, DeMar DeRozan, who's the young DeMar DeRozan, right? Who's doing stuff or who plays like DeMar DeRozan right now? Not really anybody. Obviously I'm talking about a number one or number two option. It's really nobody, because you got to be able to shoot the three. You have to do whatever it is you plan on doing quicker, right? You just got to be quick with everything. I think was Isaac Jones that said, just 0.5 decisions. And that's obviously with the Kings, but I just think that's how everybody is approaching it right now. You need your bucket getter, but, our bucket getter, again, is more of a 3-level scorer. And DeMar, pretty decent. It wasn't great, but 3-point shooting wasn't awful. It felt like he could hop in that corner and do some things for the Kings. But yeah, the conversation and him being moved before the season starts, I don't know that would happen. I think it's going to be a trade deadline. Let's look at some of the teams. Hey, the Magic, they still, after all this, the Magic still don't have enough scoring from the guard position. So now they'll trade for DeMar, or I would say the Heat. If the Heat, in my opinion, I would like to. There's probably no way for them to keep Andrew Wiggins as well, but if you could, again, this is the Terry Rozier thing. If they said it's Terry Rozier because you're doing us a solid, and maybe it's a protected first. And by the way, I was talking to just some Heat fans. This is the time to get Jaime Jaquez. Apparently, the ceiling, or I guess the wave of Jaime Jaquez, he might not be as untouchable. Speaking of Khalil Ware, Eric Spoelstra, we were literally right next to that room when the Kings were practicing. They were practicing next to the Heat, if I'm not mistaken, when Eric Spoelstra said that thing. If you didn't hear what Eric Spoelstra said, he said basically Khalil Ware needs to grow up. He said Khalil Ware needs to work on his professionalism, and he said that to the media, no ifs, ands, buts about it, nothing you got to read between the lines. This is what he said. So Khalil Ware had been talked about as one of those untouchable guys, one of the untouchable young guys on the Heat. Maybe that's why Spoelstra said it, because, okay, if this is what we're doing, then he's going to have to kind of ship up. So we'll see what happens with the Khalil Ware stuff. But with that being said, Jovic and Jaime Jaquez, if you do them a solid, I know, Scary Terry, another smaller shooting guard, but hey, we're going to do you a solid, and we'll take on the contract. We gotta get a first, and, or a swap at least, or something. And a Jaime Jaquez. I don't know that they would do Jovic, but if Jaime Jaquez, if he is trending in the direction right now, as far as he could be movable, Jaime Jaquez, you do them a solid with Scary Terry and try to get a protected first. You probably won't, but I would start to maybe lower, and maybe I'm talking to myself here, lower expectations on the DeMar De Rozan thing, even if it happens at the trade deadline, right? If it happens at the trade deadline, I'm to the point where if I got Jaime Jaquez, a second, and Scary Terry, I wouldn't be thrilled. I'd really want to see, hey, can you do a swap or something like that? And even though they're in the East, but we're not getting what I think maybe I'm not speaking for anybody else besides myself, what I maybe thought that we were going to get. So that is that's kind of the DeMar De Rozan wrap up. Not really too much on him, and I think everybody should get comfortable. If you were on the fence as to whether or not you should buy that DeMar De Rozan jersey, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it.
Now's the time.
Now's the time. At least, we'll see what happens in February, but I think he's going to be on the team when they start, when they start out. But he's just not the type of guy that they don't think they're looking for him right now. We'll see what happens in February, but that's not exactly what they feel like they need right now. When we return, we will get back into that conversation about the Zack Lavine contract. Also, LeBron talks about his future, and we'll give you the teams that are also interested in the King. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
When you're hiring, Have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your priceless vinyl collection. Sure, you sleep on a futon because the money most people would have spent on a bed you spent on more records. But forget the fact that you can stream just about any song ever created for a few dollars a month. No, you need to listen to music in the most difficult way possible. So go ahead and get Progressive so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Carmichael Dave here for my friends at American Energy Heating and Air. Yes, I always tell you they are a family-owned operation, been in business since 81, A-plus Better Business Bureau, but it is hot. We are in those Sacramento hot months. I want to focus on them being your second opinion partner. What does that mean? Maybe you've got somebody you're working with or you've worked with in the past in the HVAC world. Guess what? They want to give you a second opinion. How much does it cost? Nothing. You call them up and say, hey, can I get a second opinion on this deal? They come out and they either say, wow, that's a great deal. You should feel better about that. Or they say, we can beat that price. And usually they're going to beat it by a lot. Guess what? You just saved money and it didn't cost you anything to find out. It's a no-lose situation. Go with a trusted company. American Energy, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Hey, I'm Allen Stiles. Have an injury? Call Downtown. Downtown LA Law Group, an injury law firm, has many happy clients in Sacramento and the surrounding areas who have called Downtown. Get paid for your injuries from slip and falls or auto accidents. One of their most recent settlements was $1.5 million for a motorcycle accident. Have you had an auto accident? Call Downtown. Text injury help to 40222. That's injury help to 40222 and visit them at calldowntown.com.
It's peak summertime for Sacramento Rivercats baseball with 9 home games in 10 days. Join us at Sutter Health Park July 18th through July 27th. Bring the whole family for exciting baseball, affordable tickets, and nonstop fun. Get your tickets at rivercats.com.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
Taking you up to 2 p.m. I'm talking with Chris and Brendan right now. We will see when we kind of get them on the show. Like I said, Michael Scotto will join us in the 1 o'clock hour along with Brett Siegel. So a fully loaded show for you here live from Las Vegas, where it is. Let me check here. This weather, man. Right now, it is 105. It is 105 degrees, which is incredibly hot. And we are going to keep it rolling for you here. The contract situation with Zack Lavine that we spoke about as far as whether or not they're stuck, right? Yossi, I thought he would make me feel a little bit better once it becomes an expiring deal. I don't think that the Kings should stretch that out because, like we've talked about, we're here at Summer League watching some kind of young studs find their way in the league. I don't want to slow that down because of Zack Lavine, but the reality is you're probably just looking at 2 more years and then everything comes off the books and it's pretty simple. It's pretty clean and pretty simple. Going back to the Demar De Rozan conversation, we have a text, 916-339-1140 if you want to be part of the conversation. The MVP of the league is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He has a very similar mid-range game as DeMar, and he plays like a young DeMar. I don't hate it. Obviously, yes, Kyle, he plays really good defense. I know. And he's a point guard. it's not terrible. There's definitely DeMar in his game for sure. But yeah, that's a pretty good one. I don't know.
I think the key difference though is Shea can score at all three levels, right? He is an elite.
Oh yeah. That's definitely it.
He's elite in the mid range, but he's also elite like everywhere on the floor. Like even from three, he shoots 37.5% on 6 threes a game.
Yeah. I don't know that it feels like Shea takes 6 threes a game. It definitely doesn't.
Well, this year was also way more than any year in the past also. So he's now adding this to his game, or at least, by being a above average 3-point shooter. The league average is about 36%, and he's shooting about 37.5. By being an above average 3-point shooter, teams kind of just have to respect him, which is kind of the Domantas Sabonis conversation that we were having, except Sabonis is not taking 6 threes a game for the Sacramento Kings, but he was taking more last year than he was at any point in his career.
Kyle, we have that sound from Dave McMenamin on LeBron, just about him not wanting to talk during a broadcast, and does that mean he is unhappy and all that? Now there are reports about teams that would be interested in him. Let's get on to it.
Now, I've checked in with both the Lakers and LeBron's camp on this one. For the Lakers, it's business as usual. They have motivation to compete at the highest level and maximize not just LeBron's timeline, but they want to compete now with Luka Doncic. Some have posited that the true cause of this situation was the Lakers not offering LeBron a contract beyond next season, but Rich Paul told me that they never asked for one. Paul also made it clear to me that LeBron has not asked for a trade, and Paul hasn't even discussed the possibility of wanting a trade in the future with the Lakers. Paul did tell me that 4 teams contacted him with interest in trading for LeBron, though. So now we wait. The Lakers have a full roster and have a decision to make on Shake Milton's contract by July 20th. They also had 3 expiring contracts in Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, who's here tonight, and Maxi Kleber, plus their 2031 first-round draft pick they can use in trade scenarios. Now, I asked LeBron just before tip-off if he'd like to join the broadcast to discuss everything, and he told me, quote, "I ain't got nothing to talk about."
That was Dave McMenamin on the LeBron situation. So those teams, this is from Scoop B, Scoop Robinson, those teams have been revealed via full court pass as well. The Mavericks, Warriors, Cavaliers, and Clippers all contacted Rich Paul about trading for LeBron James, which would be best to worst, but I'm not even sure why what that term would even entail. Obviously, I think Sacramento Kings fans would say that going to the Warriors would for sure be the worst, for sure. That's without a doubt. The Clippers, they're just not going to do it. I just think it would be kind of
You're just calling their bluff already.
I mean, it would be kind of funny. So what? LeBron, Kawhi, this money thing too. So somebody's got to go. Probably James, but Kawhi and LeBron now. That's scary, but you still need help. You don't have
big 3 with Zubac, huh?
Yeah, I don't know about that, man. So who else? The Cavs. I think that he could definitely be that piece to. They could get to. Hey, we know one thing about LeBron. If he's in the East, he's getting to the finals. So
that one just makes too much sense.
Yeah, that one makes sense. And the Mavericks are just completely just. I just think trying to annoy people. That's what I think. I think they're just trying to annoy people at this point. Because what are you talking about?
LeBron would never go for it.
No, it'd just be weird. You lost, it's kind of the Luka era now. Now you go to his former team. I don't know. He might be petty enough to want to do something like that. It's possible. So.
It would be funny if that happened, only because then we'd have to reevaluate the Luka trade. Like Luka for LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Cooper Flagg.
Right.
They turned out okay, but. Right. LeBron would never go for going to the Mavericks. I honestly don't think he would ever go for going to the Warriors either. I mean, Lacob's been thirsty for him for how many years now, and at every turn it's been no thank you. So I just think Cleveland is the only like you said, the Clippers probably just aren't going to do it. So I guess Cleveland is the only one that is the best option to answer your question.
Yeah, and I think it's the option that would annoy people the least. I don't know that the Clippers would annoy anybody because I just don't know if the Clippers care. I think the Warriors would annoy everyone the most. But again, that's a team, as crazy as it sounds, and if you did trade for him now, I feel like that'd have to be Jimmy. They can't just take LeBron's $50 million unless you're doing the buyout thing. But LeBron, Jimmy, if they did the buyout thing, Steph, I mean, is that an easy championship?
No, not at all. I mean, I think the whole crux of it is, do you believe Steph Curry can be the best player on a championship team at 38 years old? And if that answer is no, then it doesn't matter whether you get LeBron and Jimmy Butler and Draymond and whatever else they try and piece together.
Yeah. So that is the newest on LeBron. They're talking to a lot of people still on this Bronny thing and just, how can they say they don't feel respected? They drafted his son and all of this stuff. So it was never going to end without drama for the Lakers and LeBron. And it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. So as we are, I think, legally obligated to do so every time trading LeBron comes up, would you take LeBron on the Kings? The king to the Kings. Would you do it? It's $50 million. So, I mean, obviously, hey, Zack Lavine, that money works. But, you're looking at what, for 1 year, and maybe LeBron does the thing where he says, I'll sign a 2-year deal with you. He's now 41, 42 years old. What would you be willing to give up, right? If you are kind of stuck in this retool world anyway, right? This might, what would be the argument? It would speed up the retool world because it would be, in my opinion, because it would be, okay, we have 2-3 years of this and then we are done, right? It's kind of like what the Warriors are. Everybody knows the Warriors have an end date. It's just a matter of, I don't know that Steph has an end date, but all of their contracts line up at the same time pretty much. I think even Steve Kerr's lines up with it. Then we're going to move forward, which again, to the Kaminga part of it, hey, can you wait for 2-3 years? And he's saying, no, I don't want to,
No, thank you. I don't want that.
And also Steve Kerr doesn't like playing me. So, or like me, I'm just kidding, from a basketball standpoint. But yeah, with the Kings, it would say, now what, I have no clue. He might be the most confusing value out there, LeBron, because you are, obviously trading for who he is. But the Lakers, I guess the Lakers would have lost a little bit of leverage in this conversation. But
he is trying to get out of there.
Yeah, but what does it mean that he lost leverage? I don't know how much leverage he lost or how much leverage the Lakers lost, but LeBron, Lavine, DeMar, one of them is getting moved.
DeMar and Malik probably got to go. But why did we do this earlier? I feel like we've done the king to the Kings thing earlier. Was that at the trade deadline?
Yeah, yes, it was a trade deadline, and it was, what did we do? It was LeBron being upset again. It was wherever we were at in the LeBron cycle, right? And Laker fans, that's why we had to do it. Again, we are legally obligated to bring up the king on the Kings. Yes or no? Obviously, it's more that a long shot feels. Speaking of with the home run derby, but a long shot feels like a nice way of putting it. Greg on the Sack Chat says the Kings would take 50-year-old LeBron. Probably, depending on what he looks like.
Ooh, that's a good question. What is the oldest age you would say I will take LeBron James? I think it's like 47 or 48. That would be the point where I'm like, I think we're good here.
I think Yeah, it's probably 46, 47. And I also feel like this next season is going to tell us a lot about how close we are to the end. I'll be honest with you. I'm out here at Summer League. There are rumblings that maybe there isn't another team after this for LeBron. Obviously, he's one of those guys that he's not like Aaron Rodgers. Don't get me wrong, but hey, everybody, you want to talk about me? We can talk about me, but there are definitely people that feel like he might just say, "I've had enough. I want to do whatever it is I can do in LA, and I've had enough." There are definitely people that feel like that, and I know somebody's probably typing right now. He'd probably rather retire than come to Sacramento, which, to be fair, don't think is true. I do not think is true. Well, what is true is how impressed I've been by all of the rookies dang near on the Summer League squad. Which King have you been the most impressed with? We break down the first two games, specifically last game when we return. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This summer with Kohl's, you can rack up the compliments. Like, where'd you get that dress? Tell me all your makeup secrets. Or, ooh, my husband needs that polo in every color. Because Kohl's has what you need. Cute dresses, Sephora essentials, stylish polos, comfy kids clothes, and more. Plus, take 20% off some of your faves. Yep, cue the compliments with Kohl's. Select styles, some exclusions apply. Offer ends July 20th. Coupons and Kohl's Cash do not apply to Sephora. See store or kohls.com for details.
Gain Super Flings are here to take your laundry to the next level.
Talking about Gain Super Flings. Super size laundry packs. These things are huge. Super fresh, super clean. Gain Super Flings.
Gain Super Flings laundry packs have 4 times the Oxy cleaning power and 3 times the Febreze freshness versus Gain Original Liquid.
Super fresh, super clean. Gain Super Flings.
Gain Super Flings for next level laundry.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with autopay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just 1 cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple thing. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here.
Based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025, Ookla trademarks used under license. Unlimited on our network. Customers on voice plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction if using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video streams and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing after $20 a monthly bill credit plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed cracks in your drywall, chimney, or exterior walls? I hope not, because if you have, they could be indications that you've got a much bigger problem with your foundation. That's where Groundworks comes in. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to stabilize your foundation. Schedule your free inspection at groundworks.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave here for Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, inviting you to come join them every Wednesday for their midweek madness drawing, giving away $2,000 in total cash starting at 6 p.m. It's a safe and friendly environment, plenty of well-lit parking available, and it's conveniently located right there in downtown Sacramento. And remember, best food, best service, best games, 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com and gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Get ready for a night out with Jordan Davis. It's Country in the Park 2, Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo. Along with the special guests Mitchell Tenpenny, Low Cash,
Vincent Mason, and Averyana. Make it a family day out with food trucks, games, dancing, and more. Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo.
Sponsored by Trix Racing Cage Ticket Makers and Naturewood Home Furnishings. Tickets at catpfest.com.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports 1140. Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
2 hours down, 2 to go. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. We have gone over some of the things that I have talked to different people around the league about as far as the Sacramento Kings. We've talked about the King, LeBron James. Patrick Donaldson says, wasn't LeBron's first game as a pro played in Sacramento? If so, if he signed with us, his last game could also be in Sacramento. Yeah, I know this just because of all the times that we've kind of had this convo about LeBron and, whether or not you'd want him on the Kings. So I think we all have had this convo before. And again, it feels like we are legally obligated to do so every time it turns out that LeBron might be on the move. And of course, the Clippers trying to get into the mix just because that's what the Clippers do, the Warriors, the Cavaliers, because somebody's got to come home. And yeah, that is quite the group, and the Mavericks it's just Nico just saying, "Hey, I'm still working, baby. I'm still doing what I have to do." But the Kings have been doing what they have to do in Summer League. Which King have you been most impressed by in the Summer League? But before we get to that, as we promised, a giveaway to help get you through your case of the Mondays. Win a pair of tickets to experience Monster Jam Freestyle Mania at Golden One Center on August 10th. It's big time family fun at Monster Jam, where world-class athletes and 12,000-pound monster trucks come together to tear up the dirt in wide open competitions of speed and skill. We're looking for lucky caller number 4 on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline to win a pair of tickets to experience Monster Jam Freestyle Mania at Golden One Center on August 10th. 916-339-1140, 916-339-1140, 916-339-1140. Caller number 4 for your chance at those tickets to Monster Jam. So on Saturday, Devin Carter, 30 points, 10 of 13 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3, 8 rebounds, 3 assists in 30 minutes, and a bunch of trash talk that was recorded between him and Matas Buzelis. I continued to miss it on the video until the very end. I think I might have got something, but it wasn't as good. Trust me on this one. Devin, he's definitely got a chip on his shoulder. He definitely does. And I think that's the exciting part about it. With his dad having that experience, he knows exactly what he needs to do, and he knows what is going to happen if he doesn't do it. So, he's playing with pressure. I'm very invested in how this game 3 goes, because he's had 2 games and they've been polar opposites. So, the question is, who is Devin Carter? And is this something, where he looks like he shouldn't be playing Summer League? They already shut down Cooper Flagg, but is this something where this is more of the norm for him than game 1? And we all know that he just didn't really play well in game 1. Neat Clifford, 19 points, 8 of 13 from the field, 12 rebounds in 28 minutes. By the way, for all the Devin Carter, Neat Clifford conversations about the redundancy, Devin Carter was asked about it. He didn't specifically. What he said was, "I'll let you guys kind of decide if we play similarly or not." He also said that he played a lot, I think, against Nick Clifford with AAU. They came up in AAU together, is what he said after that game in the post-game presser. So he's very familiar with him, and they're just gonna make each other better. Maxim Reno, 17 points, 8 of 15 from the field, 5 rebounds, 1 steal in 29 minutes. 2 straight games with steals. And then Isaac Jones, 11 points, 4 of 9 from the field, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. He was a plus 17 in 27 minutes. And most importantly, and Coach talked about this as well, he hit that 3 in the corner, which is what he's been working on. I think he took a couple, but he did get one, and he's going to have to continue doing that, continue to shoot, and, just be not necessarily a floor spacing wing, but you can space the floor at times. So a great game from them. The Bulls, they had their top pick in there. They had Yuki in there, but I mean, honestly, it's tough. And this is why people and Bulls fans kind of complain about where they're at right now, because it's tough to have a whatever actual team. This is what you don't want ever. You can't have a whatever actual team and a whatever summer league team, right? Now, if you had Matas, you'd have, their 2 top guys from this season. I think it's Esengwe is how you pronounce it. Both of them playing in this game, so maybe it looks a little bit different. But, yeah, the Bulls, they looked rough, man. And the Kings, they're in position. I know it's a running joke, but they're in position to do it. And win summer league, and makes you feel good about the future. How about this as a question? And Kyle, I'm assuming you found our winner, but how about this as a question? Out of all the kind of summer league, all of the summer league success that the Kings have had, does this feel any different? That would be my question to Kings fans. Does this feel any different? Because it doesn't feel maybe fluky. I know Keegan went crazy, and that was him against Paolo. I know that he was MVP, but some of these other seasons where, it's random guys kind of doing the scoring. Does this one excite you more than some of the years past?
You're saying this year's more exciting than when Lewis King won Summer League Finals MVP? Which, by the way, I just looked him up. Apparently he's playing for the Fujian Sturgeons of the Chinese Basketball Association now. So good for Lewis. That's you always have that Summer League MVP to remember you by.
Yeah. But, that's what I would say. This feels real, right? This feels like a core is building. I don't know. Like I said, I'm watching the Bulls. I don't know what they're, and I am not going to be, somebody in Sacramento Kings media talking down on any other NBA team per se, but I'm looking at the Bulls thinking, what are, is Yuki going to make the team? It was a bit confusing watching them and knowing obviously that they have decent players on their team. The Vucevic thing is still weird. He's just on the team still. So you juxtapose that to what I was watching with the Kings, and it was a rare feeling. I will say it was a more rare feeling, but felt like, wow, the Kings really have a core that they're trying to build, which is why people bring up the second timeline thing. But it's at least a core where, hey, if 2 of the 4 of these guys are rotation players, we're actually doing pretty well. And, versus some of the things that we've seen in years past where it's kind of somebody got hot for a tournament and that's all that really happened.
I think you kind of hit on the point of why this is maybe more infatuating for Kings fans, is the idea of, that 5 of these players are going to be on the team next year, right? Yeah. That's been different from summer leagues past. It's usually like, oh, here's a premier lottery pick, a Keegan Murray, a Davion Mitchell, a Marvin Bagley. It's like, here's the guy where we can put our hopes and dreams into this. And this is a little different because you have 5 players you know are going to be on the team. None of them, I mean, Devin Carter's a late lottery pick, but none of them are lottery picks. And you actually believe like, oh, the Kings may have found value or found money somewhere in this drafting system if these players are actually going to get runway on the NBA roster, because every team is bringing a Maxim Reno to Summer League.
Right.
But for some reason, the Sacramento Kings are the team that is excelling the most. That makes you feel a little bit better than like, okay, cool. Cooper Flagg put up 31 points and was awesome. We know he's going to be awesome. We didn't need that affirmation to know just how good he was going to be. So in that sense, I think there's more to feel promised about, only because some of these players might make it in the league, some of them might not, but your group of guys that might make it in the league actually look like they're playing really well against other guys just trying to make it in the league.
Yeah, and I mean, some of this, and here's the thing, and you go back to the score box. Look, we spoke with him after practice, and we love him. But yeah, if Mason Jones had dropped 30 instead of Devin Carter, you wouldn't be feeling the same, right? If Mason Jones was just owning, if Mason Jones and John Elmore was just owning the Summer League, you wouldn't care the same way. You wouldn't, because Mason Jones has been around for a couple years. John Elmore has been around the league for a bit, and it wouldn't feel like you were building towards something the same way you do when you see Devin Carter go off for 30, or Nick Clifford go for 19. So that's kind of the difference. All summer leagues and summer league runs are not created equal. We're seeing success from the right people. That's a big part of it. Daquan Plowden and some of these other guys, if they were going off, I don't know how excited the fan base would be. But these guys just got drafted. This is exactly how you draw it up. So, yeah, I think this summer league has a different feel for sure. Feels like social media. Whenever the Kings play, everybody is locked in. I think everybody's going to be locked in today to watch the Kings try to go to 3-0 and just see, are they going to look bad? Now, there are some negatives, right? Maxim Reno defensively is not a good problem. It's a bad problem. Okay. There was a play, because where I was sitting, I was not on the court, but right behind one of the baskets. And there's a play, because what do you get, Kyle? Is it 7 fouls in Summer League?
I'll take your word for it. I haven't been paying close enough attention.
You get a lot, and I believe Maxime may have gotten to 7 in this last game. But there was a play where he literally just, not in a malicious way, but dude was going to the basket and he just checked him, like he just shoulder checked him, and the look Mason Jones gave him, and Mason Jones talked about being a leader on the team. The look Mason Jones gave him was just, he literally just looked at him and just put his hands up to say, dude, you got to contest that. Put your hand. What are we doing here? So there's going to be a learning curve. And, when we, to that point, somebody on the text line is saying, looks like the Kings are an NBA team playing against guys that aren't in the NBA. Some of that is, yes, they have some older players, and some of that is they're just playing well. But, when we see Maxim Reno in an NBA game, I think it's just going to look a little different, at least at first. It's going to look a little different. And I think everybody needs to prepare, including myself. I think everybody needs to prepare themselves that it's going to look different, and maybe not in a good way to start.
Yeah, because these are still second round picks, right? Yeah. That's still, once you get to the NBA, you're playing against the best 450 in the world. This is essentially G League with a handful of NBA ready players.
Right.
I mean, Devin Carter played some G League last year, but it was like 3 or 4 games versus you've got Devin Carter's, you've got Noah Asenge with the Bulls, you've got Matas Buzelis for a game. Like, you have lottery picks that are showing up along with a bunch of guys that are either NBA tweeners or G Leaguers. Like, there is still a talent pool above and beyond these guys.
Well, yeah, and you talked about Noah. I think he looked fine. I think he's going to fill out. It's just another. I think he's either Australia or France. I was looking.
I think he's French.
Yeah, so they think that they're going to hit on him. To that point, it would have been really nice to see Matas Buzelis play. Number one, because I think he's pretty darn good. But number two, I think that would have given us maybe a more realistic look. Maybe the Kings still win because they beat them down. I think the Kings do still win, but it would have been nice to see him play in that game. I'm not taking away anything from the Kings. They still went and took care of business. But yeah, the idea that these guys are perfect, and some of it is just kind of joking with the Jokic crazy comparisons for Maxim. He's a combination of all these Hall of Famers. So some of it is just people having fun, and I get that.
Which, speaking of which, have you seen how Portland's been feeling about their Jokic?
Oh my goodness. It's just incredible. It's good for the league, but it's just, can we relax?
The amount of Hanson Yang content I saw on my timeline this weekend, you would have thought this guy put up a 40, 25, and 15 game in the summer league.
Yeah, and look, that's the whole deal, right? Be a version of someone, and obviously he's not Jokic, but be a version of someone. And you look around at the Jonathan Kaminga situation, and who is his version? I keep saying he's not Giannis. He's just a smaller version of Giannis, and that's kind of how he approaches his offensive package. But really exciting stuff, man, out of Sacramento. And I should have counted all the people. It was one of those things, Kyle. And you know what? Having some fun here. I kind of feel like the ban list needs to come back out, because this is a good thing to ban, but it was Carmichael Dave. It was two other people in the media, and it was a couple fans, and all of them, I'd rather watch this team than whatever we're about to roll out. And they list out Keon, Devin, Maxime, Neek. They list them all out. I'd rather watch this than what the Kings. Can I just say that we all agree with that? Or I think 80% of Kings fans agree with that. We don't need to, because it's going to happen today, Kyle. It's going to happen today, and I don't know. I want to ban it. It's banned from this show, okay? Because we all know that we agree with that.
Just wait. Well, I don't, but you also just wait until. I don't agree with the philosophy of they should put young guys together with Sabonis and see how that's going to work. Let's wait until they're 5 games out of the playoffs before we do that.
Well, look, part of this isn't even realistic, because these names that I'm seeing, Sabonis is not on that list. This is not about playing people with Sabonis. This is about developing young talent. That's what
I think the Dave one I saw was like Keon.
Okay,
Carter and Sabonis.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe the Dave one did, but let's wait until they're 10 games below 500 and 5 games out of the playoffs before we do that. But I also feel like just wait until Dave gets back next Monday. Yeah, you can ban it for now, but then you're gonna have to unban it for that one crosstalk you have with Dave on Monday morning next week when he comes back from vacation.
Somebody's probably going to just say, hey, Allen really wants to talk about how he'd rather watch the young guys than these guys. You should bring it up to him during crosstalk, and I'll have to pretend as if I do want to talk about that. But the Neek Clifford stuff, people have been really confused as to his comp, because right now his playmaking has kind of surprised some people, and I'm really happy with what I've seen so far. Then I keep scrolling and I see somebody with a picture of Jimmy Butler, and I just say, okay, can we just not do it? Can we not do it? Not yet, but Worst people to be compared to. This was just a Kings fan, by the way. This wasn't anything, as far as people are saying he is a Jimmy Butler comp, but I really like what I'm seeing from Neek. I think that he, I'm not going to say unlock, but I think that he really adds a dimension to this team where it's whatever you need, right? Hey, what do you need me to do today? Do you need me to score today? Do you need me to pass today? Do you need me to defend today? Do you need me to, we'll see about guarding the best guy, but do you need me to help out Keegan today? What is it that you need me to do? So that's been the best part of everything I've seen with Nate Clifford, because, in my opinion, it immediately changes how I feel about the Kings losing Jake LaRavia, because obviously he was a guy, and at that time I felt like that's why they went and got Jake LaRavia, because they didn't have a guy like that on the team. And to me, that's my only, it's not even a comp, it's just what I feel like Neek is going to be on this team, is a Jake LaRavia type of player. And that makes me really, really excited about that. And funny enough, I think Neek and Jake LaRavia are probably similar ages, because Jake is 23 or maybe just turned 24, and Neek is the same age. So obviously Jake LaRavia has been in the league for a couple years now, but you're still going to get a version of that, at least I feel so. And that's something that the Kings haven't had in a while, Kyle.
Jake LaRavia is 2 months older than Neek Clifford.
Yeah, so which means that Neek, you'd be a quick learner. That's right. Quick study.
Well, especially on this team, you kind of hit on that point, which is like, I kind of thought this from the beginning. It's just as simple as just slide him into the Jake LaRavia minutes and let's go. He'll back up DeMar DeRozan, and anytime DeRozan's off the floor, we'll put in Nate Clifford.
Yeah.
I remember we did the Golden Rules thing last year from was it Ben on King's Twitter?
Yeah,
and it was like you have to play either Keon or Keegan, but if LaRavia comes, just slide Nate Clifford into that equation, and that's what the Kings will look like next year.
Exactly. Now people are trolling, saying Neek's comp is Jalen Williams. Actually, I don't know what they're trolling, because I did see that. That image, but Neek's comp is Jalen Williams on the text line. Neek's comp is Tracy McGrady. I do not see Tracy McGrady in Neek, at least not yet. I'd love it. I used to love me some Trace McGrady, but at least not yet. So
I think he's the next Jason Tatum. Let's just be chill about it.
So I thought that was Keegan, though, or Keegan was Kawhi. So you have Kawhi.
You've got Kawhi, the next Jason Tatum.
Somebody said Maxim is the next Chet. So you're gonna have Chet, Kawhi, Jason Tatum.
Well, I thought you said he can't play defense. I thought that was Maxim's problem. Like Chet's whole thing is he blocks shots.
Nah, well, look, this is bleed purple 91 on the sack chat, but the Maxime defense thing definitely worries me, but again, it's really based on the fact that you already have a Domantas Sabonis and Maxime can obviously play offensively together. Can they play defensively together? I don't know. I do not know. And it can't be for a long period of time, which goes back to the conversation of the Kings roster and what else is needed. We're talking about Russell Westbrook. Where is the frontline defense for this team right now? They just don't have it. They don't have anything. Yet people, you say, well, Jonas Valanciunas is a pretty good defender, and he's nothing to, write home about, but he still gave you something more than you previously had. Now you lost that for Dario Saric, and you got a bunch of you're not a bunch of fours, but you have kind of long, not big, but long fours that don't defend. And you have a center who isn't great on the defensive end either. I don't know why we're talking about Russell Westbrook. I can't get over that.
Well, also the thing about these fours, and you can lump Keegan in there too, is like these are not 6'11", 7-foot fours either. These are 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" guys, and that makes a difference when you're talking about people talk about the two big revolution, and it's really just two 7-footers more than it is a two big revolution. And if you're going to do that, it should be like Chet and Hartenstein, one tall, shot-blocking, lanky guy, and one big boy who's shooting the little one-handed floaters that Sabonis is so good at, right?
Shot type of deals.
Yeah, it's mixing and matching them doesn't make as much sense. It's why we were talking about Valanciunas being able to shoot the corner three. Is like you kind of want a tall man, a lanky shot blocker, than you do a second big. And maybe Maxim can be that, but that's not, I don't think, why they drafted him.
No, but we do know that offensively, the dude is gifted. You know, the dude is gifted offensively, and, you know, the touch that he already has, it is something that is definitely refreshing, but defensively, he needs some help. But Neek has definitely looked complete. He's been as advertised. And I think that's the thing with Devin. It's just been a bit of a roller coaster where he's just great, right? It's okay. I wouldn't even mind if he just had a good, okay game, right? And I'm not doing the prisoner of the moment thing here. I feel even in the season, it was Boston, not unplayable type stuff, but it was Boston. It was that one home game where he had 3 steals and, you know, dunked a bunch, or it's a struggle. He just doesn't really feel comfortable. And then
or for like a month, he just wasn't on the team. Like he just wasn't playing.
But that's the other part of this too, with the Russell Westbrook. I will eventually get off the Russell Westbrook thing, but they're all of them are going to be fighting for playing time already. You know, what the prioritization, if you bring in another guy, that's the issue, you know? So we'll see where they kind of go from there, especially tonight as the Kings have their third summer league game. They're taking on the Phoenix Suns, and another one where no first round pick for the Suns. Are we over under how many names we will recognize on the Phoenix Suns? Because I don't think the dude Ryan Dunn, he's probably not playing.
That's a great question. I'm going to pull up the Suns' last game on Summer League and see how many names we actually recognize. We can do that after the break.
We definitely also need to talk about how ridiculous it is. Some of these young dudes, not on the Kings, but just in general, not playing Summer League. There some names out there that are sitting courtside and their fans are saying, you should be playing, dude. What are you doing? So we'll have some fun with that when we return, taking up to 2 p.m. And we're going to discuss, should the Kings be positioning themselves for free agency in 2026? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
Allen Stiles here with your Sacktown Sports injury update, brought to you by Downtown LA Law Group. Ken Waldachuk, out with that left elbow sprain, will have another AAA Las Vegas rehab coming up, and his expected return is mid-July. Jose Leclerc, out with that right lat strain, is expected to return in the second half as he is playing catch 3 times a week, even though the A's expect a long recovery process. That was your Sacktown Sports injury update, brought to you by Downtown LA Law Group. It's Allen Stiles here. You injured at work? Call Downtown. DTLA Law Group, California's leading injury law firm. With over 40 lawyers throughout California, they have won over $500 million in settlements. DTLA Law Group will get you compensation for your work injury. You don't pay unless they win. That's right. You pay $0 up front. Call Downtown. Text injury help to 40222. That's injury help to 40222. Visit them at calldowntown.com.
Hagen Oaks wants to be your go-to total golf game fitter. Try the TrackMan experience, the very best technology to fit your metalwoods and irons. The new cutting-edge putter fitting studio with its $30,000 worth of technology is ready for your fitting. Hagen Oaks will help you find the best putter for your game. Hagen Oaks offers more technology, more choices, and more service. Schedule your fitting at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio by calling 916-808-2531, 808-2531 for more.
Tune into Sacktown Sports this week for live coverage of the 153rd Open Championship from Royal Portrush, brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave. I got to tell you, I am so excited to get this decking project started with Trex Decking and Railings. From the first time I stepped foot in the showroom last week, I was so impressed. So many color options, heat resistant composite deck. What does that mean? That means I don't have to do any maintenance on it whatsoever. They even have a deck designer, so you can go online and see what your dream deck will look like on your house. Just visit Trex, that's TREX.com to get it started. Tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
The Hagen Oaks Cutting Edge Putter Fitting Studio offers you more technology, more choices, and more service. Hagen Oaks wants to be your go-to total golf game fitter. With $30,000 worth of state-of-the-art technology ready for your fitting, Hagen Oaks will help you make your best putting stroke while finding the best putter design, shape, hosel, length, and loft for your game. Schedule your fitting at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531 for more.
July 4th savings explode at Maida's Elk Grove Chevy. Save $10,750 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado half-ton LT and RST 5.3 in stock.
Maida Chevy has similar savings on every new Silverado. One of the largest selections in the Sacramento area.
$10,750 off new Silverado. Exclusively at the Maida Chevy Silverado Supercenter. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Trading 2011 renewal. Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers.
At Kids Care Dental and Orthodontics, we're all about summer smiles. During July, we're having our Summer Smiles special with $300 off braces or Invisalign with no money down if you start treatment in July. And you'll have a chance to win Legoland tickets. Go to kidscaredental.com for more information.
The San Francisco Giants are grown here, right here with the Sacramento River Cats. Catch the future stars of Giants Black and Orange at Sutter Health Park. Don't miss the action. Get your tickets now at rivercats.com.
Power Business Technology is proud to be 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all of your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Live and local
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
We are still trying to coordinate some more guests for you. Talking to Chris Watkins and Brendan Nunez. Shoot around just finished up, I believe, for the Kings. So we're going to try to get one of them on. We still have Michael Scotto coming at 1:30 as well. And we're trying to figure out if Brett Siegel is going to be able to make it, might not be able to coordinate, but we can always have him on tomorrow, as I believe he will still be out here as well. And, you know, a lot of these conversations that keep getting brought up about the Kings and where exactly they are right now, next year's free agent class is going to be ridiculous. This year's free agent class was interesting, but, you know, here are the names for next for 2026's class. Luka Doncic, and this is obviously as of right now, right? Anything can happen with these deals and getting re-signed, extended, and things like that. Luka Doncic, De'Aaron Fox, Trae Young, Draymond Green, LeBron James, James Harden, Austin Reeves, Chris Middleton, Kevin Durant, Kristaps Porzingis, Norman Powell, and Mikal Bridges. That is quite the group. The Mikal Bridges thing, you know, obviously, I actually saw Frank Isola walking around a couple days ago, but the idea that the Knicks are for sure going to pay him is not as sure as I think a lot of us thought. Some of these names do excite me, but, you know, somebody's probably typing right now, why would any of these guys go to Sacramento? Some of them I think would, right? Okay, you get through the Luka, De'Aaron Fox, then and LeBron and James Harden. When you look at a Mikal Bridges, it really just depends on what are you offering. You know, why do I want to come to Sacramento? Is there a little bit of a Sacramento tax? Is there a little bit of a longer runway for you than maybe on other teams. Vucevic as well. My guy Fred VanVleet too. So the Sacramento part of it, I do think you can convince people to come out here. Can you convince people to play for the Sacramento Kings? Those are two completely separate things to me. You know, people always talk about the market. It's just not really the market to me. You know, it's are people buying what you are selling? Can you get one of them to buy what you are selling? Kyle, I mean, I have to do it if we're gonna put the name there. And I watched Dylan Harper in person, and Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant, man, the Spurs, it's going to be an issue for
Carter Bryant's going to be awesome.
It's going to be a very big issue for a very long time in the Western Conference. I'm just saying, Kyle, new regime, I have no choice. Again, I'm legally obligated. Is there any world where De'Aaron says, okay, this makes sense?
No, because if there was ever a world, that world would have happened and he would have signed the extension, right? That was the whole thing, is like he wanted to be in Sacramento unless he lost, you know, he felt there was no way they were going to be able to compete for a championship, and then he ended up going to San Antonio. So I don't know what's going to change here. I don't think Neat Clifford is going to move the needle enough.
I was going to say there's something that could change his mind, but yeah, in all seriousness, these names and the idea of, okay, well, let's position ourselves for these guys. I mean, it's also funny once somebody plays in a certain market, how willing they are. Like, I don't want to sit there and overpay Austin Reeves because he's been playing in LA and doesn't want to he's got to be convinced to go to Sacramento. I don't personally think Austin Reeves is good enough to do that. I don't really think that DeMar DeRozan was good enough to do that, but the Kings felt in that moment that they should. But, you know, the rest of this list,
Sounds, Allen, like you're ready to take a flyer on 20 games of Porzingis.
No, I'm not ready to do that.
You want to take a flyer on whatever illness is happening to him that's going to pop up every 3 games?
Look, people are going to get on me, and if any of those names do sound good to you, please let us know. 916-339-1140. People are gonna bag on me because they always bag on me when I bring up this guy. Andrew Wiggins, I just think at a good price, if he is a free agent, he just makes sense. Right now, he does go 6'6", 6'7". So to me, if you're looking at Jonathan Kaminga, why wouldn't you look at Andrew Wiggins at a normal, you know, at a value that makes sense for you? That's how I would say it. So that's a name that anytime everybody, you know, I bring up Jonathan Kaminga, everybody says no, or Andrew Wiggins rather, no. I personally think that Andrew Wiggins can bring some value. I do. I really do. Well, I do, man.
And we talked about this when we were doing trade candidates. Him and Zack Lavine are buddy like that. Mm-hmm. But I think we're kind of in the right place, which is, obviously, they're not going to go for Luka. They're not going to go for LeBron or Kevin Durant or guys like that. But in a free agency where this year only one team had cap space, and next year I think it's suiting up where 16 teams, including the Kings, would have cap space.
Right.
Then you're looking at a more robust free agency in which you have a good chance of signing some of these second or third tier free agents for less than what they make right now. I don't think Porzingis will get what he got on his last contract. I don't think Wiggins will. Middleton won't. Mikal Bridges will be reasonable. It seems like there's just a handful of players that are going to be available as plug and play starters. And say the Kings get through this season and they're a play-in or a play-off team, they might be positioned to just insert some plug-and-play guys that make more sense with a Domantas Sabonis, Zack Lavine, and young players roster at this point. Maybe they're in need of a veteran come next summer.
Mm-hmm. The 530 says, are Carter and Neek playing well enough to interest the Warriors for Kaminga? And are they playing good enough? The Kings might hesitate to trade them. I think it's too early on both. I think it's definitely too early on Neek. I think we've kind of at least mentioned this in a different way, Kyle, but how often trades happen once the draft picks play, right? So it's even the Cam Whitmore thing. Like Cam Whitmore probably never had more value than during that summer league run. And obviously the Rockets were trying to figure some things out, but they, in theory, could have moved him. I don't know that. I just bring him up because he had a crazy summer league, and I don't know that 1 year does. I would say this though, maybe for Devin Carter, you have Reed Shepherd, who he's a guy who didn't get to play much and has played. I know he didn't shoot the ball great, but he looked like an NBA player in the games that I've seen him play in the summer league. Like that's a guy where I feel as if he could gain some momentum and gain a little bit of value in the summer league. I don't think that Nick Clifford is going to, simply because of the things that we've talked about where, they're not really facing NBA talent. I just can't see somebody saying, I can't see either, right? I can't see someone saying, oh, I don't, I want to make this move all of a sudden for Nick Clifford, in a Kaminga deal. And I can't see the Kings saying that they, either do or would or wouldn't move him or make him untouchable because of 2 games.
While I would say that it is very unusual for players to get moved this late in the summer, this is also an unusual summer in the sense of these restricted free agents have just dragged on and on and on to the point where it just happened to overlap with summer league. So we're in a bit of uncharted territory, but to what you talked about earlier and what you're hearing out there in Vegas, it's probably pointing to Jonathan Kaminga going back to the Warriors on a shorter term contract.
When we return, someone is bringing up Devin Carter's shoulder. He gave an update after the game. Could that be a red flag in a potential trade? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So the kids' back to school lists were extra long.
Extra long sounds extra expensive.
Staples had everything at amazing prices.
Suspiciously amazing if you ask me.
Some items were just 25 cents. Plus, as an Easy Rewards member, I got 30% back in points on my kids' school supplies.
Jumpin' Jellyfish. Your back to school budget saved by Staples Easy button. Staples.
That was easy.
In store, online, and on the app. In 719. Exclusions apply. Single use per week up to $60 in points. See app for details.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hi, Zoe Saldana. Welcome to T-Mobile. Here's your new iPhone 16 Pro on us.
Thanks. And here's my old phone to trade in.
You don't need a trade-in. When you switch to T-Mobile, we'll give you a new iPhone 16 Pro. Plus, we'll help you pay off your old phone up to $800, and you still get to keep it.
There's always a trade-in.
Not right now at T-Mobile.
I feel like I have to give you something in return for karma.
That's okay.
I don't really have much in my purse. Oh, let's see. Hand sanitizer. It's lavender.
I'm good. Seriously.
Let me check this pocket. Oh, mints?
Really, I'm fine.
Oh, I have raisins. I'm a mom. Wait 1 sec. I've got cupcakes in the car.
It's our best iPhone offer ever. Switch to T-Mobile. Get a new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. No trade-in needed. We'll even pay off your phone up to $800.
With 24 monthly bill credits, new line, $100 plus a month on experience beyond finance agreement, $999.99 and qualifying credit. For well qualified plus tax and $10 connection charge. Pay off via virtual prepaid card below 15 days. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. See T-Mobile.com.
Are you thinking about buying a new car? Well, maybe you're on the fence. Let me help you out. Kyle Draper here from Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. From the first time I stepped into the MP of Stockton showroom, I knew I made the right choice. I settled on the all-electric EQS SUV. It's comfortable, stylish, and most importantly, it's safe. Mercedes-Benz has the reputation of making the finest cars in the world. Now it's your turn to experience what I already know. Mercedes-Benz of Stockton is the best car buying experience you'll ever have. It's just a short drive down I-5 or anytime at mbfstockton.com.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The Giant Summer Sale is here. Get giant savings on our giant selection only at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking to own or lease? Save during the Honda Summer Event and drive a brand new Accord or Civic. See all our specials at FolsomLakeHonda.com.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda. Go to FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Your one-stop Honda shop. Around here, the summer can smack you silly, especially if your AC is not functioning at a high level. Whitey Gleason here. I had the opposite problem over the winter. System went down. It was panic time, but Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating saved the day. Let them save you from unnecessary summer misery. Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating, reliable, trustworthy. They do great work. They won awards for their service. Check the reviews at leesair.com. Find out about their $99 HVAC tune-up service. Save your summer now. Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating on the web at leesair.com. License number 635355.
Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the biggest selection, the best prices, and unbeatable customer service. Check them out online, SacSuperstore.com, for the guaranteed lowest price on Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Open until 10 o'clock and right across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course. SacSuperstore.com.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
We are going to be joined by Brendan Nunez. Kyle is making the call for Brendan, and Brendan is going to talk to us about how the guys are feeling after shoot around. Kyle, let me know when we're good with Brendan.
Actually, I just talked to them. They are going to hop on StreamYard in about a minute or two.
Okay, even better. That gives me time. I'm sitting here.
Yeah, producing on the air.
That's right. Trying to get this light out of my face.
While you're working on that, like, not to do too much like Wizard of Oz, don't look at the man behind the curtain, but doing these shows are always so interesting because we're trying to like produce from different places and we can't talk to each other through the board, so it's always an adventure whenever we're in different locations.
Yes, but we do it for the people. You know, we do it for the people, and we're going to keep doing it. You know what I mean? So, oh, there we go. We good now?
Yeah, you got rid of it. What was that? It was just a streak down your camera?
I thought it was. Here we go. All right.
Riveting radio right now as I talk about producing the show and Alan tries to get rid of a beam of light that was going right down his face.
So we're going to talk to Chris and Brendan, who they were at shoot around before the Kings take on the Phoenix Suns. Brett Siegel still in the air. We may have him. We're working on that. We will have Mike Scotto coming up at 1:30 to just discuss everything that he's hearing and when we could see some movement on something. Right. It's just been a little dead around here. So we are trying to figure out when the next big move is going to happen. But yeah, in the meantime, in that after that second game, Devin Carter, well, number one, he took that weird fall. And when he got up, he was immediately holding his shoulder. When he went to do availability, he had a bunch of ice and it was all wrapped up. It was the first question and he just said, yeah, it was pretty much good until the fall, but it is something that I'm just kind of going to be dealing with for a while, really. And he's not too worried about it. Coach wasn't too worried about it. It was more so, is this something that we should be worried about? Should it be a red flag, right, to other teams? If you're the Warriors, even if Jonathan Kaminga doesn't have as much value as you previously thought or you would have hoped, Dario Saric, Devin Carter in 2 seconds, and Devin Carter has shoulder issues. If it was already, what was the word, balking at it. I mean, I think you might even find that disrespectful at some point, based on how other people, could view it. So I don't know that it's a red flag, but it's definitely orange to me at the very least, because, I just don't see how it's just been going on for a while now. And that's kind of what the issue is. What's up, Kyle?
Well, we're still efforting Brennan here, but we do have the sound of Devin Carter talking about his.
No, definitely a bounce back game. My shoulder feels a lot better than it did the first game. I tweaked it the day before the game and scrimmages that we had. So, I was kind of playing hesitant the first day, but, I just had a lot of treatment, a lot of Advil. So, shook back. So, glad we got the win, though. That was really the most important thing. We're 2-0, and I feel like that's the most important thing going into the next game.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, kind of both games, it was kind of bothering you a little bit, the shoulder?
It wasn't today, really, until I fell.
Okay.
It was a little bit, but definitely the first game, it was the day before. So, it was just a small tweak, but, that's part of having shoulder surgery.
That was Devin Carter right after his outstanding performance, 30-point performance against the Chicago Bulls, and kind of holding his shoulder. And I think he made a couple shots even after that happened. So that is just something that he's working through. He's gonna, the way he plays, he's gonna be on the ground. He's gonna take hard falls. So just to be able to play through that, I think is admirable. But yeah, I don't want my 24-year-old second-year guy being viewed as injury prone, for lack of a better term. And if you're the Warriors or any team that is trying to do business with the Kings, do you feel like you can count on Devin Carter? This is a huge conversation just as far as the Kings asset situation, because if he's viewed as a real deal asset, that opens up a lot of things. If not, then this season is just incredibly important for him and for the Kings, with a guy that you didn't draft, but now if you're Scott Perry, but now you in a way got to make I don't want to say make the most of it, but that's essentially it. You got to find what you have in him, and hopefully you got left a gift, in somebody that can play the game and kind of give you something that we know is on the uptrend, right? Or, on the rise, and that's defense. So trending upwards, I should say, and that's defense. So there are worse players to have, and I'm not going to name them, even though I think we could probably name them from the kind of Monty McNair regime, that if Scott Perry walked in and they were on the team, he might say, this is just not going to work at all. Devin Carter is right up Scott Perry's alley, right up Doug Christie's alley. So, if things can continue to click for him, then the conversations about his value, like when one of the texters was asking, takes a swing in the right direction. But if not, then some of these decisions might need to be made a bit quickly. So, and I'm not saying anything for this season. I'm just saying next season becomes very confusing for everyone if Devin Carter, let's say, just like doesn't play a lot. You know what I mean? What's up, Kyle? You popped up again.
Yeah, we got to do some producing on air. So Brennan and Chris are ready, but do we want to take a break first and come back with them at the 1 o'clock hour, or do we want to bring them in now?
Yeah, we can. Well, let's take a break because I want to see if Brett Siegel's gonna hop in or not, and maybe we can do them at 1, Brett at 1:15, and then we also have Mike Scotto at 1:30. So maybe we do it that way. And so guys, don't go anywhere, and you don't go anywhere listening. We have one more hour, 1 o'clock hour coming up next, 4 hours with you. And when we do return, we'll have a guest. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With 25 award-winning years in Northern California, Ashton & Price is your local injury law firm. Pro attorney tip: if a firm presents as local but they're in LA, red flag. If your first consultation is not with a lawyer, big red flag. At Ashton & Price, your first consult is with a local attorney, and if serious injury prevents travel, a lawyer will come to you. Still not enough? George Washington's my uncle. At Ashton & Price, no red flags, just red, white, and blue.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
Get ready for a night out with Jordan Davis. It's Country in the Park 2, Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo. Along with the special guests Mitchell Tenpenny, Locash, Vincent Mason, and Avriana. Make it a family day out with food trucks, games, dancing, and more. Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo.
Sponsored by Trex Racing Cage, Chicken Fingers, and Naturewood Home Furnishings. Tickets at catpfest.com.
Carmichael Dave here for my friends at American Energy Heating and Air. Yes, I always tell you they are a family-owned operation, been in business since 81, A-plus Better Business Bureau, but it is hot. We are in those Sacramento hot months. I want to focus on them being your second opinion partner. What does that mean? Maybe you've got somebody you're working with or you've worked with in the past in the HVAC world. Guess what? They want to give you a second opinion. How much does it cost? Nothing. You call them up and say, hey, can I get a second opinion on this deal? They come out and they either say, wow, that's a great deal, you should feel better about that. Or they say, we can beat that price. And usually they're going to beat it by a lot. Guess what? You just saved money and it didn't cost you anything to find out. It's a no-lose situation. Go with a trusted company. American Energy, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Hammer time thrown down by Malik Monk. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports, 1140. Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
we are about to be joined by the Sacktown Sports Kings insiders, Brendan Nunez and Chris Watkins. Wow. Just says beer in the background. Just beer. Outstanding.
It's just ear.
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 Root. It's just missing the root beer.
Exactly.
There we go.
Yeah.
Guys,
good cover.
How you doing? You're all settled into the new hotel?
No, not at all.
We are in the process of trying to figure that out. We're waiting our room, so that's why we got the shot we currently do.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you hopping on. How was shoot around? Did you get any availability with anything? How are the guys feeling headed into game number 3?
Yeah, we unfortunately actually didn't make it over to shoot around, but did talk to Sean, who was over there. Maxim Reno is not going to be available. He's dealing with a little bit of wrist soreness that happened in the previous game, so he won't be available tonight. Nothing to worry about, just typical maintenance. I think as you get a little bit further in the summer league, you're going to play it safe with some of these guys more often than not, obviously. But yeah, we'll see how it goes tonight against Phoenix.
Chris, when we've been talking about Nick Clifford a lot and what he's brought to the table, where are you at with the Nick Clifford, Devin Carter redundancy? I mean, and obviously I think there's things that I've seen Nick do that I haven't seen Devin Carter do yet, but we were all there at the scrum, and I don't know, I'm not trying to start anything. It kind of felt like Devin definitely has heard that before, and he didn't seem extremely juiced to. He said he knew, right? He said he obviously knew Nick, and they played AAU together, but it did feel like there was a little bit of, a little something there. I don't know, just a little something there. I mean, they're competing for a similar position.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I mean, I don't really see a lot of redundancy there. I think Nick is just a little bit bigger frame, so I kind of imagine, I think the redundancy might be in skill set, I guess, but I think it's a pretty universal role player skill set, right? I mean, both of those guys, if you're going to say they are redundant, it's because they defend, are gritty. They're both really good athletes. They're both great rebounders from the guard position, but I think it's been pretty clear this summer league, especially, and just kind of what we've heard from Devin, even in the lead up to this, and Depeche Minstry, the summer league coach, is that they're running Devin at point guard right now, and I think it's just really hard to imagine Devin playing real minutes in this league not at that position. I think I've kind of pushed back personally on the Nick point guard stuff. I think it's more of he has the ability to bring the ball up, and that's great. I mean, they obviously kind of more so talk about that kind of stuff with Domantas Sabonis and obviously, Demar De Rozan and Zack Lavine just having the freedom to bring the ball up. I think that's more what they talk about with when they say they're comfortable with Nick's ball handling and his playmaking, is that they're okay if he gets a rebound because he is such a great rebounder and him pushing the break. I don't necessarily think it's and maybe it will be again. There might definitely be lineups where Nick is the point guard because he's out there with Zack Lavine, he's out there with De Rozan, and just size wise, he is, I guess, the smallest guy out there, and he might defend point guards. But Allen, you and I have had countless conversations about what is the modern point guard and what does it really mean to be the primary ball handler. Ultimately, I just don't really see a lot of redundancy between Devin and Nick, because I think Nick is more of the wing capacity, and it feels like Devin is going to be more in the guard strictly.
Brendan, let's go back to you. And, obviously we've all been talking to a lot of people out here in Vegas, but anything new on the kind of news front as far as obviously the conversation was Kaminga before that, and we're going to have Mike A. Scotto join us at 1:30, but have you been hearing anything as far as Kings roster construction, where they might be looking to go, and where their heads are at right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like you said, Allen, we've definitely been having conversations. Last night was full of conversations on our end, for sure. And I would say that there definitely is what Scott Perry mentioned on the broadcast, the idea that they still need a point guard. They still need another point guard. And I think that's still floating around. Russell Westbrook talks, I think, continue to linger. I'm sure you've heard kind of some of that as well, Allen. And Also, I don't think they have availability with their MLE, but I'm not sure that they really want to use that. I think we're still operating with a team that wants to be below the tax line, but one roster spot remaining. It's like, all right, what's going to happen with Isaac Jones? Isaiah Crawford, for what it's worth, the last two-way is somewhat in restricted free agency for that last spot, but Terrence Davis isn't guaranteed to be on the team next year. Partially guaranteed contract. If they wanted to try and go bring another guy, Kyle Draper has mentioned the campaign side is a little bit interested. They can still work around having more than one spot if they wanted to create more. But as of right now, I think that final spot probably goes to a backup point guard. I think Russell Westbrook definitely still within consideration, but that may be contingent on if they're able to make a trade in the time leading up to that.
Yeah, and some people were asking, hey, how much can things change as far as value is concerned based on Summer League? And I said, look, if Cam Whitmore didn't get moved, for a first rounder, when was that, a year or so ago, then it doesn't make that big of a difference. I think it's more for just to feel good about the decisions that you made and who you drafted. I think it matters the most for Devin Carter because of how his season went. But, Malik Clifford, Maxim Reno, 2 games, nobody is really sitting there saying, hey, this team, or we can change our package or change our package. And the Warriors would want this for Kaminga because Malik Clifford had a good summer league. I don't necessarily see that happening. Chris, one thing you mentioned coach, and one thing they kept talking about that 0.5 decision making, right? Yeah. When we look at the future or what the offense is going to look like moving forward with a Doug Christie, they were down there in USC working out with DeMar DeRozan. Are there conversations? Do you think there are conversations happening about his style of play at all?
I think it's a fair question. I think it wouldn't be out of the question for them to have that conversation, especially, if they are going to lean more into youth, and that doesn't mean they're going to say, "Hey, DeMar, take less shots" or anything like that. But I think it's more of a if they were to have that conversation, it would be more of a minutes thing than a shots affecting how you actually are out there playing. And that would just be a conversation of we're leaning more youth. It's not necessarily about wins, and there might be nights where you're not going to finish games because we just think it's more valuable to give Keon Ellis, to give maybe Malik Clifford 10 to 15 games this season where he can finish on the floor in the last minutes. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think I still think we all kind of see this team as this veteran, middling, competing team. So if that's the direction they're going to go, I don't think that conversation is going to happen. But I do think it would be fair for them to have that conversation if they wanted to, maybe even in the middle of the season, lean more into a youth movement.
And DeMar's 35. There's only so much that I think you can ask him to change. He's a top 25 all-time scorer. I think at some point you also just have to mold to DeMar a little bit, and it's going to look a little bit different in certain lineups. And I think this is why the conversation of is DeMar best coming off the bench comes up, because it's you can play his style of basketball with the second unit and you can maintain the pace with that first group. I think Dennis Schroeder points towards wanting to play a high-pace offense, and Coach Dip out here, their summer league coach, Coach Mystery, has said that, all the staples that you're hearing of how they're playing summer league, the defensive orientation, the 0.5-second decisions, quick pace, that's what you're going to see in Sacramento too. And so DeMar will play into that, but obviously it's not optimizing him. And I think the real solution is that there's just going to be certain lineups that more prominently feature DeMar that probably slow it down a little bit more.
Yeah, and the other thing that Scott Perry said during that first game, he had said, when you dribble the air out the basketball, it makes it easier to defend. It just feels like everything that he's saying, and this isn't, I'm not saying this is only a DeMar thing, but that style of play doesn't feel like he wants that to kind of be their identity. Chris, we did not cool off the Maxim Reno hype train, but I did want to be a real analyst here and kind of talk about some of the holes in his game. There was a kind of a really bad attempt at a contest at a drive, during one of the drives in the last game. What are your thoughts on Maxim outside of everybody gushing about him like I've been continuing to? Where can you see some improvement?
I would definitely say, to me, the defensive end and rebounding, and it's actually something Brendan's brought up a lot, and just something we've just kind of it's been open air conversation. It's just, is Maxim maybe really a 4 in today's NBA, which is crazy to talk about when you're talking about somebody who's 7'1". But I think if we're going to do a player comp, like a Kristaps Porzingis kind of feel, where it's like, he can have a crazy offensive game, but and I think even his coaches at Stanford have said that they didn't want him getting in foul trouble when he was at Stanford,
right?
And that kind of, you could say, limited his development on that end of the floor. Like when you're asked to score 20 points a game and shoot 5 threes again, like you're the hub of the offense, and they can't afford to have that hub in foul trouble. And so I think that kind of led to him not aggressively attacking people at the rim. And I think with that, just a lot of development needs to happen, because just natural instincts of when to slide over, when to just use your 7'1" frame to be 7'1". Like it shouldn't be hard for him to learn these things, but for him to be in college for as long as he was and have that be a flaw in his game, I think is kind of why he's going to have to lean more positionless when he's out there. And Dip talked about it before we even came out here of how this team is going to have to be more positionless because Maxim is out there. And I think there's definitely positives in that. But, I think for him specifically, he's just a little bit he's just a really big 4, and that just causes a whole separate set of problems, because then defensively, can you put him on the perimeter? I don't know. He does move really, really well to go into the positives. Like, I mean, the way he runs the floor is incredible. While I say his aggressiveness defensively isn't there, everybody's raved about his communication defensively. Like that, if anything, is more important than the intangibles of sliding over and all that stuff. If he can direct his teammates, and I know in that interview that Jason had with Maxim, he talked about how fun it is to call out defensive plays and disrupt the other team's offense like that and what it does. Like, I think he's got all the tools to be good there, but you just in the NBA, it's so fast you can't think. And I think he's at the point maybe now where he's in the learning phase, he's in the teaching phase still. So that's what the G League's going to be for him this year is if we can see Maxim Reno have 2 blocks a game halfway through the G League season, I think that's exactly what you're hoping to see from him. But I guess short way to answer your question is defense and rebounding, more specifically rim protection and rebounding, really are the 2 spots where that's going to hold him back from maybe being a fringe starting center.
Yeah, and with that being said, going back to Brendan and the idea of the backup point guard, I brought this up in the first hour of the show. You look at what the Kings are bringing to the table from the center position, and especially now that you've moved on from Jonas Valanciunas and now you have Dario Saric, you have to feel like they're looking at this roster saying, yeah, we need another center, right? I mean, I don't know if it's go get DeAndre Jordan, but you cannot roll this out. It doesn't feel like you're just kind of abandoning a backup center a little bit.
Well, I mean, I think Drew Eubanks is kind of the answer there. He's a guy that, not a very flashy name, but I think he's been a reliable backup center for a good handful of years. And we're only talking about playing 12 minutes a night, but I think the idea is that that's sort of your consistency. And then you have the option of Maxim, and you can try to roll him out in moments and see how he responds. If he plays well, essentially he has an opportunity to earn the spot. And you have Drew Eubanks as a placeholder in my mind until Max is ready for that next step. Maybe it's Isaac Jones, which I guess they are really moving him over to the 4, but you have that optionality. And also just having different looks that Coach Doug Christie will be able to roll out. Max gives you an opportunity to roll a 5-out lineup, and the Kings haven't had that since, I don't know, if you're running Marvin Bagley at 5, or if you go like Dwayne Dedman, and Dwayne Dedman couldn't actually shoot when he came to Sacramento. So it gives some optionality there as well, but I think that Drew Eubanks is sort of the one that I would write in. Maybe we'll go pencil rather than pen, with Maxime having an opportunity to break into that.
Brendan, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. I know you guys are kind of running around and trying to get into your new hotel. So you're both here till Friday?
Till Friday.
Okay. All right. Well,
wish us luck. Wish our wallets luck.
Seriously.
It's a lot. My wallet's a lot lighter than it was when I got here.
You know what?
Quieter week in the weekend.
You got plenty of time to, even it out. You got plenty of time to even it out.
Is that how that works?
That's right. That's right. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Good luck,
Take
man.
care of yourself.
Great stuff there from Brendan and Chris and Kyle. Just so you know, like you said, we're kind of doing this whole thing on the fly. We have Brett Siegel here, and he is going to hop in and chat with us. So here we go. There you go, Brett. Your mic is on. Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, obviously friend of the show, as I get him on camera as well. Brett, thank you so much for taking the time for joining us, man. I know you're running around, so this is great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a busy time. NBA Summer League, you know it. You see everybody on the concourse, the scouts, the agents, the players, even they're out on the concourse. It's just a great time. You know it, seeing the games and whatnot. And obviously, just down the road is the Las Vegas Strip, and there's no better view when you're walking out of Thomas and Maxim and seeing that. So it's a great time, and we're kind of wrapping up now because people depart at this stage of Summer League. But there's still a lot going on, and there's still a lot of contract situations to figure out, Alan.
Well, let's get right into it. I was joking with you because this was my first summer league, and of course everybody's saying this one's a little bit quieter with the CBA and the restricted free agency situations that are happening. I kind of gave an update based on what I had been hearing about Jonathan Kaminga, just as far as kind of his value and how he's viewed in the league, his star potential, if you will. There was supposed to be a conversation, if I'm not mistaken. You had put that in your Siegel Scoops. Do we know where this thing is going? I know there was a report that, hey, that he's probably going to stay. Does that mean the conversation happened and this is where it ended, or what do you think?
I'm still waiting to hear about those conversations, and I believe that they are extending into this week, early this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, was what I heard last week. Is that's when they're going to really sit down and discuss things, not only with the Warriors side of things, but see what other interest is out there, because you had the Kings interest, you had rumored interest from the Miami Heat, the Chicago Bulls were another team that were mentioned, but there hasn't been any movement on that front because the Bulls are dealing with their own problems with Josh Giddey, and there's a big discrepancy with money there of how much money Giddey wants, how much money the Bulls are willing to give him. And they're very far apart on those conversations. So for them to go out and start things with Kaminga, not necessarily the best look when you're trying to bring Josh Giddey back. So there hasn't been much movement there. The Kings front, there was talk of the Kings offering that sign and trade package that we had discussed previously. Nothing really came of that. The Warriors weren't really listening to it much. There was not any movement there. And then obviously the Miami Heat went out and got Norman Powell. And so that pretty much takes you off the table right there, because you're now hard capped at the first apron. They're about $3, $4, $5 million from that. So you're talking about having to now move Andrew Wiggins or Terry Rozier just to bring in Jonathan Kaminga, and the money doesn't make sense there. So there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding this situation. We've reported that it's most likely that Jonathan Kaminga will be returning to the Warriors with an understanding that he will most likely be moved once he becomes eligible to do so in January. But it's just a very weird conversation for us to talk about. And obviously behind the scenes, you can just imagine what it is for them. But when you're face to face as the player, the agent, and the team, and you're talking to them, there's a lot more clarity there.
Right.
And you're allowed to say what you want freely to them, and you can really camera out what his role is going to be.
Right.
And I'm sure those are the conversations that are going to be had between him and the Warriors, because there's a lot of people in that organization that want him back, including at the very top with Joe Lacob, and we've talked about that countless times. So it sounds like that they're going to bring him back and they're going to look to trade him, but there's a few months there that you can play around with. And if he's playing really well, when he becomes trade eligible, what happens then? Are you going to wind up moving him if he starts fitting in and he's liking his role there? So it's a very mysterious situation. I think that's a good word to say.
Malik Monk is a name who right now it got brought up, but not officially. He was not in any reported trade package to the Warriors. What do you think about Malik Monk's value when it comes to the Warriors, and if there'd be interest there and just in the league in general? We talked to a Raptors person last week, and that report that came out a couple of weeks ago that the whole Detroit thing, and that's because he doesn't have as much value. What are you hearing on Malik Monk?
Yeah, well, the Raptors stuff, they fired Masai Ujiri,
right?
And he was a fan of Malik Monk there,
right.
So I guess we can kind of cross them out, maybe, but looking at Malik Monk's value around the league, he's under contract this year, then he's under contract next year, and then he enters the final year of his contract.
Yeah.
Those contracts that have 3 years left, 4 years left, the teams hate them. And it's because of this new CBA where you're trying to create flexibility for yourself in that first apron, in that second apron.
Right.
And now if you're tying yourself down to, it's not a bad contract. And I know that we've talked about this before, where $18 million for a guy that is contributing as a 6th man of the year candidate, 16 points a game, 17 points per game, averaging like 38% from 3-point range. That's a good player.
Right.
But that contract, when you have that for the next 3 seasons, you don't have much flexibility there when you're a team that has 2 max players, maybe even a 3rd max player.
Right.
And so that's really what the CBA has taken away. It's taken away that middle tier of players. And you can even look at that trade that the Denver Nuggets made with Michael Porter Jr., where they had to get rid of him to open up the ability to bring in those middle tier players, to bring back Bruce Brown, bring in Cam Johnson, to make the trade for Jonas Valanciunas. So it's not that he doesn't have value around the league. Teams like Malik Monk, he could fit in with a lot of different teams, but it's the money factor. And it's trying to find a suitor, especially this late in free agency, this late in the offseason, that can take on that kind of money. So I don't really see any movement in terms of the offseason for Malik Monk. Most likely going to be one of those situations that we talked about where like DeMar DeRozan could be available at the trade deadline. Probably going to be the same thing with Malik Monk, especially given that injuries always play a role. Where in the regular season, unfortunately, there's going to be star players that go down. It's just the nature of it. And maybe Malik Monk finds a home then.
Talking to Brett Siegel of Clutch Points. Brett, another name that I've been talking with, just a couple people about is Zack Lavine. And obviously he's got a year left, and then he's got a player option that we all know 99% sure he's going to accept. Will things open up for the Kings with Zack Lavine once he's on an expiring deal, or is he just making so much money, even if it's just 1 year, nobody's going to touch it?
Well, we said the same thing about Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
He's stuck with Denver, and they're going to have to just keep him until the end of that contract. Not a bad player, but the contract, one of the worst in the league. Now we look at Zack Lavine, and he only has that 1 more year left, and then the player option. Maybe there is some optionality there where a team, all of a sudden, someone goes down, their hopes of making the playoffs and being a real contender go down, and maybe they're willing to take back money and take back future picks in order to offload some salary to create that flexibility. And we saw the Nets do that after the whole Kevin Durant saga. Maybe there's something that happens there with the Kings and Zack Lavine. But right now, I wouldn't really expect anything on that front. He's going to be on the Kings roster to start the season. I feel very confident about saying that with Domantas Sabonis as well. He wants to stay there. His family loves Sacramento. They love being there. And he's the face of the franchise now, especially with De'Aaron Fox gone. So all these guys are still monitoring what's going to happen with the Kings. Scott Perry, new GM, takes over, new philosophy. Doug Christie finally has a full year to really implement his system, full offseason to work with these guys. So I think we are going to have a different feel about the Kings this year. I think that they're going to be a lot more energetic than they were to end last season. There's going to be kind of not necessarily the same as when that Bean team happened, where there was all that energy with Mike Brown, but we're going to see these guys come out and fight for Doug Christie. We're going to see them come out and fight for Scott Perry. And they're really going to try to cement themselves as a true playoff threat in the Western Conference during those first few months of the season. Obviously, around the time of the NBA Cup, that's going to be a very important time for them to really prove themselves, kind of like we saw with the Pelicans during that first NBA Cup run when Zion and Brandon Ingram were there, and we were talking about them, are they an up-and-coming team in the West? And ultimately, injuries decided that for them. But I think that's a similar path for what we'll see from the Kings this year, but the West is stacked. I mean, there's 13 teams that can legitimately get into the playoffs, whether it's an actual playoff spot or via the play-in tournament. Obviously, if you're a Utah Jazz fan, that's one of the teams that's not going to be making it. They're still rebuilding and all that. But the Kings are certainly in that play-in conversation entering the year. Probably not what you want to hear and Kings fans want to hear, but that's just the reality of where they are. They're going to be shuffling around things financially during the season, especially ahead of the trade deadline. And then looking ahead to the 2026 offseason, that's kind of already the chatter surrounding them is who's going to be available. Is Domantas Sabonis going to ask out? Are they going to move DeMar DeRozan before then? But I do think that Scott Perry wants to kind of clear his books a little bit and have that optionality where he can go out and make moves like they did this offseason to get Dennis Schroeder.
Brett Siegel, thank you so much for joining us. First time in person, man. Hopefully it will not be the last time. Thank you for joining us. Follow Brett Siegel on Clutch Points. He is giving us all the information that we need. When we return, we'll be joined by Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype. We'll be right back. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Fidium Fiber.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center for your Monday. Plenty of sunshine, improved air quality, and a hot day today. Valley temperatures will range from 97 to 102 at the peak, with overnight lows dropping back to the upper 50s with an increased delta breeze. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
It's about time they
fix that pothole.
Invented better windshield wipers.
Made an internet that just works. Fidium Fiber Internet, starting at only $30 a month. It feels like Fidium. Offer available to residential customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See Fidium.com for details.
Aloha! Dreaming of sandy beaches and ocean breezes? JTV's Tropical Treasure Sweepstakes could make that dream come true. Enter for your chance to win a fabulous Hawaiian getaway for two with luxury accommodations, airfare, and spending cash. Plus, just for entering, get $30 off your next qualifying JTV purchase of at least $99 when you opt in for emails. Don't miss out. Visit jtv.com/sweeps and enter by August 3rd. JTV, where paradise awaits.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The San Francisco Giants are grown right here in Sacramento, California. Watch the future stars of Oracle Park take the field with the Sacramento River Cats right here at Sutter Health Park. From power hitters launching home runs to ace pitchers dominating the mound, don't miss your chance to experience the next generation of Giants baseball up close. It's exciting, affordable, family-friendly fun. Catch the Sacramento River Cats in action all season long. Get your baseball tickets today at rivercats.com.
People are coming from all over to Sacramento, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, from Folsom, Elk Grove, Woodland, Roseville, because they've seen for themselves the huge selection and the best prices at SacSuperstore.com. Good luck finding a lower price anywhere else. And if you do, they'll match it. It's as simple as that. Sacramento, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, where a handshake still means something. Open until 10 o'clock and centrally located right across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course. And online at SacSuperstore.com. The guaranteed lowest price and the best selection of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeeps, and Rams. SacSuperstore.com.
Tune into Sacktown Sports this week for live coverage of the 153rd Open Championship from Royal Portrush. Brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality.
At Kids Care Dental and Orthodontics, we're all about summer smiles. During July, we're having our Summer Smiles special with $300 off braces or Invisalign with no money down if you start treatment in July. And you'll have a chance to win Legoland tickets. Go to kidscaredental.com for more information.
Get ready for a night out with Jordan Davis. It's Country in the Park 2, Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo. Along with the special guests Mitchell Tenpenny, Locash, Vincent Mason, and Averyana. Make it a family day out with food trucks, games, dancing, and more. Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo.
Sponsored by Tricks Racing Games, Chicken Fingers, and Naturewood Home Furnishings. Tickets at catpfest.com.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
As promised, we are back with Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype. Michael, nice to meet you in person, man, and appreciate you hopping on the show.
Oh, my pleasure, brother. Anytime. Thank you for having me and your support of my work. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. You know, we were talking yesterday about some of your baseball memories out there in New York. So it's been a lot of fun, man. Sure. As far as Kaminga is concerned, I've been talking to a lot of people about it, and the question of, obviously we know what he wants, but I feel like there's a discretion between how he views himself, how the Warriors view him, and how other teams view him. Do you think there's kind of a question mark as to, hey, we're going to go get this guy? Because if somebody thought he was going to be a star, I feel like we'd know. And I don't know how many people, I think a lot of people think he's got a high ceiling, but there's a lot of guys like that.
I think the biggest thing with Jonathan Kaminga Allen is that people view maybe a little bit of untapped potential there. And it's about what is the price point of two things, where he is now and where a team thinks that he can go. So right now, let's say, for example, he ends up back with Golden State. Okay. If he ends up back on Golden State, I think what you have to look for are a couple of things. Number one, maybe not a long-term deal, maybe something like 3 years or 4 at most, but I would say maybe more, even 3. And then I would say to you, I think an important aspect of any trade there would be a potential trade kicker and a percentage on that. And I say that because right now, if the market doesn't dictate what he wants, ultimately, you can use that trade kicker to get back some of that money you feel like you may not be able to get at this point in the market, given the teams that just don't have a lot of cap space. And with him, you'd have to be doing a sign and trade. So, and I mean, look, Brooklyn, I don't see, just because I know some people maybe have mentioned Brooklyn, I don't see that ultimately from my sources and whatnot. So I think that narrows it down a bit. Big picture, there's been talk about you guys in Sacramento for sure. But I also think if that's going to happen, well, there's got to be a moving of parts here, whether it's a Malik Monk to Demar De Rozan, even if it's not to Golden State, somewhere like a 3-team deal. So there's a lot of variables to whether Jonathan Kaminga can go to Sacramento or anywhere. So ultimately, there is a decent chance that he could stay in Golden State, get a deal that you can potentially look to flip going into the February trade deadline or possibly even a little bit before that. But essentially, that's kind of where that situation is right now, Alan.
I'm talking to Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype. Do you feel like if they waited for December, right, and they do the deal, the 3-year deal, and they waited for December, how many more teams do you think would be interested in Jonathan Kaminga if the Warriors just waited? Because a lot of people were saying, hey, in the leverage conversation, if you're the Kings, if you really want Kaminga, you can sign. Obviously, the Warriors are in a tough spot with the sign and trade and everything like that, but you're the only one in line. And if you wait for December, there might be other teams that are now interested because it's just a lot cleaner.
Well, not only that, but I also think injury-wise, what if something comes up and a team's like, we need this guy to fill a void?
Right.
I get that aspect of it, but ultimately then you also lose a little bit of control in terms of if you're not going to do a sign and trade now, you're going to lose control of kind of what the deal looks like.
Right.
And Kaminga's camp is going to have to look out for itself with the hope of there being a sign and trade and obviously like the trade kicker. But big picture to me, I'm I'm aligned kind of with your thinking in that regard. But we'll see. Time will tell. If he's on Golden State, I think the plan, obviously, from his side would be to try to go somewhere else within the season before the deadline, if he ultimately remains.
They're making sure they take care of the backup center situation with Drew Eubanks. Scott Perry was on the broadcast in the first game that the Kings had. He said, "Yeah, we're still looking for a point guard." That name, Agent Zero, Russell Westbrook, keeps getting brought up. What do you think about Russell Westbrook, and have you heard anything about the Kings' interest level and maybe other teams' interest level?
It's funny when you said Agent Zero, the first person that came to mind was Gilbert Arenas.
Me too. But I don't know why I did that.
It's all good. No, it's all good. But big picture, I feel like with Russ, essentially a lot of this stuff is kind of status quo. I think Bradley Beal's going to start to move the market a little bit. Hopefully, I'll say though, teams I think are waiting for Bradley Beal to move the market. Obviously, if you talk to people on the concourse here, the prevailing thought remains that Bradley Beal will end up with the Los Angeles Clippers. So then after that, I think then you kind of move from there. Where does Chris Paul go? Does Chris Paul have a return back to the Clippers, where he's wanted to be close to LA, close to his family? And that would, I think, give him a decent chance to compete. So certainly something to keep an eye on there. And then after that, as far as Russ and some of these other free agents, then I think the dominoes start to fall. Obviously, Sacramento's been linked heavily to him the most. And so I think ultimately, that's where you'd have to look initially if there was going to be something. And it was interesting, certainly, how he ended in Denver to get to this point. So usually when you're going to decline an option, you'd almost think like something was lined up, but we're still here at this point.
Yeah. And, it's not just Russell Westbrook who's being brought up. They're kind of other free agents as well. And not just free agents. I mean, I guess we're kind of burying the lead out here, but LeBron James with four teams, one of those teams being the Warriors, obviously the Clippers, the Mavericks being a bit of a surprise. Do you think there's anything that could actually happen? I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, if you wanted to be moved, you just wouldn't have taken the option. Maybe some posturing happening on both sides, but could that affect the market anywhere?
I don't know if the player option has anything to do with it, Alan. I'll be quite honest with you. I think when you could take $50+ million, you take it. And then you figure it out. The whole thing about the NBA is you get your money while you can, and then you go from there and you figure it out. Same thing, kind of like what we would see potentially with Jonathan Kaminga, for example, as we touched on. But when it comes to LeBron, I think some of this is a little bit speculative. I think all the stuff in the air right now. If you're the Lakers and you got LeBron and Luka, and you can still compete and have a good team. Austin Reeves is your third guy. DeAndre Ayton's going to be the X factor for them. Now as a starting center. LeBron's never been traded. So if there was going to be a time now in the twilight of his career, whether he's got a year left or more or whatever, you'd have to see. But I mean, by all accounts, he's enjoyed LA, and he opted into that for a reason.
Before we get you out of here, talking to Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype, thank you for joining us, Mike, as always. Before we get you out of here, any names in general that maybe, I know it's been a quieter summer league, but any names in general that you heard come up that maybe you previously hadn't heard before coming out to the desert?
For like a trade or free agency, what's on your
mind? Anything like that.
No, I got to tell you, no. And I mean, the market's been a little bit dry as the desert,
right?
Because going into free agency, it wasn't a robust list. With all due respect to the guys that are on the market compared to years past, And I thought when John Horst said the other day that Miles Turner was the number one free agent, it's like, well, maybe a realistically available guys, but in that regard, it's like, okay, well, that to me, while he's still a good player in his prime, the ceiling of the free agency class is not what it had been in years past. And just when you look at trade talk and stuff out here, for the most part, it's still been a little relatively quiet. So I just think if anything would move the needle, it would be a Kaminga sign and trade. But I also feel like, Alan, if that was going to materialize, I would almost think like it would have happened by now. Not to say that it won't, but
Yeah.
As you said, there's got to be some reservations a little bit here, or else this would have got done already by now.
Yeah. And I mean, look, the whole conversation of what was it supposed to be craziest NBA offseason? I mean, it had its moments.
It had a chance. I think it had a chance in terms of potential trade stuff, but I don't know. I don't know how much it like really moved the needle like that in terms of that. Look, I get it. Sometimes there's hype,
right?
But reality and hype and substance are three different things, and that's why we're here right now. And like I said, we're drier than the Grand Canyon right now.
Before we get you out of here, we talked a little bit about this on the concourse yesterday, but Malik Monk and the off guard conundrum that a lot of these off guards are dealing with. Do you think that there is a value concern with, I won't say with Malik Monk, but with players like Malik Monk, who you're not a pure point guard, maybe your defense isn't where we'd like it, but you can get buckets. You know what I mean? You can cook when you need to cook. Do you think that the league is saying we don't really value that type of player the same? The Anthony Simons thing happened in Boston.
Cam Thomas, you can make the same case. I mean, Cam's in restricted free agency, but when you're talking about the ilk of the players and the prototype as a scoring guard, and that's the main focus. I certainly think you're seeing a little bit of a trend. Shooters still seem to get a decent amount of money.
Right.
Like Luke Kennard got a decent amount of money, I thought. Duncan Robinson. Still got a pretty good deal.
Right.
And so to me, shooting has always maintained. I think the scoring guards, the days of like the Lou Williams era, where Jamal Crawford, guys that come off the bench, light it up like Times Square on New Year's Eve, but their efficiency is a little bit questioned. They have been devalued, to your point. I would agree with that assessment, Alan. I would.
Michael A. Scotto, thank you so much for joining us, man. It was good meeting you in person.
My pleasure.
We'll definitely do it again. When I'm out in New York, we'll definitely link up, and safe travels back whenever that is. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, brother. My pleasure.
When we return, we have one more segment to close out our time here in Vegas. Don't move. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they helped me. They calmed me down. They made me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, Sacramento. It's the No Surprise guys at Bell Brothers Plumbing and Air Conditioning. Need a new water heater? Call Bell Brothers. Need drain or sewer work? Call Bell Brothers. Need a free plumbing estimate? Call Bell Brothers. We don't guess at plumbing and drain problems. We use advanced camera inspections and diagnostics to identify the issues. We're fast, reliable, and respect your time by showing up when we say we will. Our technicians are all background checked, drug tested, and will leave the work area cleaner than they found it. The price we quote is the price you pay. We are the No Surprise guys, with more technicians, more trucks, and more experience. We get the job done right the first time. No surprises. Don't wait. Call Bell Brothers today for a free plumbing estimate or book online at nosurpriseguys.com. That's nosurpriseguys.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hagen Oaks wants to be your go-to total golf game fitter. Try the TrackMan experience, the very best technology to fit your metalwoods and irons. The new cutting-edge putter fitting studio with its $30,000 worth of technology is ready for your fitting. Hagen Oaks will help you find the best putter for your game. Hagen Oaks offers more technology, more choices, and more service. Schedule your fitting at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio by calling 916-808-2531, 808-2531 for more.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your priceless vinyl collection. Sure, you sleep on a futon because the money most people would have spent on a bed you spent on more records. But forget the fact that you can stream just about any song ever created for a few dollars a month. No, you need to listen to music in the most difficult way possible. So go ahead and get Progressive so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-838-6767. That's 800-838-6767.
Get a great deal on your new Silverado at the Maida Chevy Silverado Superstore.
Great selection, great factory financing and incentive.
And great Maida Chevy savings on every new Silverado in stock.
Online at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
One more segment with you. Thanks for rocking with us. Whitey Gleason is still going to join us because why not? Whitey Gleason joins us to end the show and get you ready for the drive, guys. Whitey Gleason, how's it going?
Good. How's everything in Vegas, Alan? It sounds like you're in a room where you're not really feeling comfortable talking as loud as you'd like to talk.
Yes. It was basically where Kyle Draper had been doing it. There was a class. So I got kicked out at about 9. I'll just tell the story because Whitey loves when I tell these stories. I got kicked out at about 9:45. I text Kyle and I say, I don't know what I'm about to do, and I decided to just post up and just be very quiet in the back of the media room. And yeah, behind me is where Kyle gets to do it because there's no class going on, but the morning they did have it. So we figured it out, Whitey, and I'm excited to get back. I don't know how in the world Chris and Brendan are going to be in Vegas for 6 days. That's incredible.
Yeah, I think some people hit it on the head here in the text. You guys sound like golf commentators with this whispering all show, and weird vibe to today's show. Sounds solemn. I'm optimistic about the rookies, full camp, etc. But Alan's just being a courteous professional. That's all.
That's right. Yeah. Now I'm seeing. I'm seeing all the texts now. Everyone's saying, "Alan, did you party too much?" And all. Alan, where's your energy? Look, I have to be respectful of the other people around. But don't you worry, people. Tomorrow, the hype train returns once I'm back in that same seat that Whitey Gleason is sitting in. Whitey, speaking of the hype train, game number 3 for the Sacramento Kings tonight against the Phoenix Suns. Devin Carter, that panic meter, I know you were up there around 8, but, it's...
Nope. I'll tell you what I'm disappointed about is no Maxim Reno tonight. Yeah. Sore wrist. I was looking forward to seeing him against Malawach, but oh well.
Yeah, so no Maxime tonight. I obviously still paying attention to whatever Devin's going to do along with Neek Clifford. I wouldn't sleep on, Whitey, I thought that both guys, Isaac Jones and Isaiah Crawford, I thought both of them gave some, good things to put on tape. And, seeing Isaac Jones hit that 3 in the corner. You talked about redundant, and I don't know if I'm being lazy saying that they're redundant. I just think that they are both kind of stuck where you're not going to be centers as much as maybe you have been in the past. So you better learn to shoot.
Mm-hmm. I really appreciated today when you said something about, oh, we got to bring back a ban. Carmichael Dave says everyone wants just the young guys to play, and everyone wants that. And Kyle said, well, I don't want that. So good for Kyle.
I don't know. Yeah, and I didn't have time to address that, with all of our guests that we had. But tomorrow I will, Kyle, make sure we put that in the rundown now, because I need to understand. Well, Kyle's whole thing was not running around with Sabonis. I'm not saying Sabonis isn't on this team for me.
Carmichael, you just want all the young guys to play. You're gonna get annihilated, Allen. How is that fun?
Whitey, it's growing pains. It's growing pains.
Whitey, it's fun because he's already promised that every single day until May, he's going to run the Tankathon simulator and see where the Kings end up.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good call, Kyle. I got to do that now. Whitey, while I'm doing that, what's coming up on the show today?
What's coming up on the show today is we're going to check in with Kyle Draper, find out what's going on in Vegas. I know you've been doing a fine job of sharing all that with us. And we'll talk about Superman, not the movie, Devin Carter.
Oh, nicely done. I just ran the simulator. Whitey, drum roll, please. The 2026 NBA draft. Your Sacramento Kings take blank second overall.
Second overall?
Wow.
I'm telling you, man.
How about that?
Let them.
He's good at the Tankathon simulator. He gets a lot of number ones and number twos.
I'm telling you, that is.
Are you cheating, Allen, on that?
No, I'm just clicking a button. All I'm doing is clicking a button.
By the way, to close a loop from earlier in the show, Ryan Dunn is playing for the Suns along with Iguodaro, Malawak, Kobe Bray, and Yuri Collins. That's who's on the Suns Summer League roster tonight. Like our chances?
Mm-hmm.
I do, but I mean, those are more names than I thought I'd recognize, so it could be a good game.
Also coming off the bench, former Kings G Leaguer last year, Boogie Ellis.
Nice.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And that was the thing with Boogie, because nobody knew where he was going to play, but everyone just kept saying, oh man, you got to find somewhere for Boogie. You got to find somewhere for Boogie. There was nowhere for him to be found.
Usually a napkin is a good idea.
Yeah. Allen, can I ask you about something that went down around here yesterday? And you were removed from it, so it wasn't an issue. But I'm wondering if it would have been. Because yesterday, as you know, the Giants wrapped up the first half of the Major League season against the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Okay.
So a lot of people want to watch that game, right? Yeah. So you go to NBC Sports Bay Area. Oh, it's not there. Well, why wouldn't it be there? Is it on Bay Area TV, local TV? No. Is it on Fox? No, it's a Sunday. It wouldn't be on Fox. Is it on MLB Network? No. Well, where could it be? It was on the Roku channel.
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know. It's almost like they don't want people to watch baseball.
It is. Exactly. That's kind of a big game, and it was extra innings. And I know Giant fans are understandably upset with the way team fell apart in extra innings. But the Roku channel.
They get one game every Sunday.
One game every Sunday.
If it wasn't for social media, I just gave up. I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I looked, Roku channel. I think I do have that. I did have it.
Yeah.
But to your point, why make it? We're baseball fans. There aren't as many as there used to be. We want to watch the games. Why make it so hard for us to watch your games?
Yeah.
We're trying to help you, Allen.
Right. And now I feel, Whitey is doing all of the yelling for me today. This is very nice. No, this is nice.
Yeah.
Change of pace. Yes, a very nice change of pace. Well, how does Draper do it? Does he quiet down, or is he does what he wants?
He probably brings it down a couple notches, but not as many notches as you've, respectfully brought it down.
To be completely honest with you, I was able to get in here before it actually opened, and I didn't want to get kicked.
Yeah, sure. And you haven't been there a lot. Also, I was very glad to see the picture that you posted of you and Kyle Draper together, the odd couple.
Mm-hmm.
You guys made it, pulled it off. Good job, everybody.
That's right. Mason Jones, Whitey, another guy who's obviously bounced around back and forth, I should say. Kind of I don't want to say a weird situation for him. Did you happen to see when he was telling Reno, he just looked at him like, what are you doing? When Reno gave a shoulder check, he fouled a guy who was driving, and it wasn't even, he didn't even attempt to to guard him correctly, and Mason Jones kind of just was, hey man, what are you doing? You think this is kind of a weird situation for Mason Jones? I know he likes being the leader, but he can't sit there with Kyle and I think talked about this. He can't sit there. He can't take 20 shots. He knows that they do not want him to do that. So what is he proving at this point, I guess?
Yeah, he's probably trying to prove to some other team as well that he belongs there. You speak of weird, talking about weird. Reno had 7 fouls in that game, which is summer league things. But yeah, as you know, Mason Jones, he's played too many years. He's not eligible for a two-way. The Kings can't have him on a two-way by rule. Right. So then what does that mean for him? I mean, it's great that they gave him a shot to play this summer, but I don't know what the future holds for him. So he's showing anybody who's paying attention, trying to show him, I can play in this league.
Get his jersey retired in Stockton.
Yeah. There you go, Alan.
Yeah. Okay. No, you didn't. I'm speechless from that last one. Yeah. We talked to a lot of people in general, but a lot of people today just about the Malik Monk, Kaminga stuff. My kind of to tie a bow on all this is it's all kind of frozen right now in my opinion. I wouldn't say frozen, but the Kaminga stuff, I just don't see why they wouldn't just give him a 3-year deal. I can't see why. It was almost as if it was an impulse buy. Whitey, one day, I'm not going to say where, but one day I was doing one of our promos, right? It was like a Saturday, something like that. And there was a car that I saw. It was at a dealership. Yeah. And it was at a car that I was in love, and I'm going to go tell my wife, hey, we're going to go get this new car. And I'm looking up how much it is while I'm at the dealership. As soon as I step in my car, go home, get on the freeway, I'm just not thinking about that car at none of the same level. You know what I mean? I look it up at home. Oh, okay. Are we going to get it? And we don't end up doing anything. It feels like the Kaminga sign and trade was a potential impulse buy. Not that it would have been bad, but a potential impulse buy. And you looked away for a second and now you're just, okay, we're not really thinking about that anymore.
I think they just tried to get him, at a bargain basement price, which is smart. Who knows? Maybe they really need to get rid of this guy. Let's offer them something that would not really hurt us that much. And the Warriors, as you know, as we all know, according to reports, they balked at it. Okay, well then, fine. Then I don't know if he's worth it to the Kings to A, give up what you'd have to give up to get him, and then B, pay him the money. I personally would rather have Devin Carter than Jonathan Kaminga. Maybe that's just me.
Okay.
I think he's a better fit overall. And I don't have to give up anything to get him. I already got him.
At that price.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. If you argued what the league has been showing us, right? Devin Carter is closer to that. If you're arguing higher ceiling, then that's Jonathan Kaminga. So kind of two ways to look at it, but especially on this team, Whitey, what I've been saying as far as if you go get Jonathan Kaminga, why would Domantas Sabonis want to stay? That's how I still, especially if DeMar DeRozan is still on the team, that's how I still feel. So I just don't know. So that conversation of fit, I just don't see that. I don't really see it happening. I think Jonathan Kaminga would be the start to doing what I want, developing the young talent. That's how I see it. But I want to thank Brett Siegel for coming on the show. I want to thank Michael Scotto for coming on the show. I want to thank Whitey Gleason for coming on the show. Brendan Nunez, Frankie Cardicelli, our summer league extraordinaire show went very, very well. Even if I was Whitey, what would you say this level Allen is at? If you know me at a 10, what would you say this level is at sound wise?
We're at a 3 today. We're at a 3.
Just like a 6.
Whatever your Devin Carter panic meter is, this is a 4.
It's like a 6 or a 7, Whitey. I don't get much louder than this. You know that.
3. I'll give you 3.
All right.
Good job.
Fair enough. 4 hours coming up. Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper, Jay Johnson. Thanks to Kyle Ledbetter. A great job for us. We know that these shows can be a little bit tricky, but we went off without a hitch, and I will be back in studio tomorrow. And until tomorrow, secure the bag like the beam.